3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I thought me, Stu, Xander, Perloff all want to destroy the Carson Wentz poster.
Nope. Uh-oh.
And it turns out now someone's trying to throw dirt in our eyes.
Not someone from day one. This is my poster. I do not want to see it destroyed.
Perloff is talking about doubling down and not just making this a Carson Wentz poster, but a Carson corner. We can't do it, guys. Please.
Part of me is intrigued as to what's going to go into the Carson corner.
No, don't do Sam. No.
I never thought of calling it the Carson corner, but now I'm into it.
Do you understand what kind of bad mojo that's going to bring to this studio?
I think it should open up to other Carsons as well. Carson Corner is going to be amazing.
Stop.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Don't worry, everybody. LeBron's not retiring. Hey, welcome to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country on CBS Sports Radio. You want to watch the show? YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Don't worry, Perloff.
Well, I mean, to quote LeBron, we're the luckiest people in the world. We got to see LeBron some more.
I mean, I felt pretty blessed today, even more so just knowing lucky me. And listen, I love LeBron. I'm a big LeBron defender, but even I thought that was a little over the top. I mean, last night at the ESPYs, Here was LeBron James reassuring all of us that we won't be denied his greatness.
I don't care how many more points I score or what I can or cannot do on the floor. The real question for me is, can I play without cheating this game? The day I can't give the game everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today.
And the crowd goes wild. Nobody thought he was retiring, so LeBron again finds a way to make himself the butt of a joke.
Yeah, he's unbelievable at this. It's similar to when we caught him lying about movies he's seen.
Yeah.
He just, and this, by the way, has nothing to do with the bigger picture about what you think about LeBron, but he has these little sort of dad foibles where he just says the wrong thing. Lucky for you guys, I'm coming back. I mean, it's exactly the wrong thing to say, and yet, at the same time, I'd argue completely harmless.
Yeah, harmless and also great. We do get another year. Listen, the Lakers went to the Western Conference Finals last year. It's not like he's turning in bad basketball. He's right. He's not cheating the game. And even for the person who despises LeBron for whatever reason you do, I mean, you have to admit he has never mailed it in. This has never been a situation where he has said, I'm not giving it my all on the basketball court.
Whoever said he is? I mean, so what? Of course he's not mailing it in. And guess what? Steph Curry's coming back next year. Guess what? Jokic is coming back next year. Why are we supposed to celebrate this out of nowhere?
Well, because he said he had a lot to think about at the end of the season. No, nobody thought that. But here's the big question about LeBron James, now that we know he's coming back. Cool. If they don't win next year in LA, does he go ring chasing? And it's interesting to me because he's at 4. Clearly he wants to get to, if he could, 6. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe getting 5 to top Steph Curry will be sort of enough. Not that, I don't know how many people really think that Steph is caught up to LeBron. I know there are a few, our boss included. But I just think that him going ring chasing would probably be the worst thing for him. That would be worse than just retiring with 4. Because in the court of public opinion, there are so few people who even accept Kevin Durant's 2 rings with the Golden State Warriors as legit titles where he won Finals MVP with both of those teams. They would denigrate LeBron if it wasn't a team that he was already established on. Like if he goes and joins the Warriors or the Dallas Mavericks or insert team Nuggets, whatever, Phoenix Suns, nobody is going to give LeBron credit for those rings. And so for him, just retire.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a situation where he can ring chase because I don't know if there'd be an opportunity for that. He's 40. He's going to be 40. When Karl Malone ring chased at 40, the problem was he was 40. So that team was not good enough because he was 40.
They made it to the finals, though.
Yeah, I mean, because look at who else they
had. Kobe and Shaq.
They had Kobe and Shaq, but Karl Malone didn't play well. So I'm not sure. It's not the Heatles. He can't join forces with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and all of a sudden be the best team in basketball. To ring chase at this point, he would really need to go to like a great team. Like Dallas wouldn't do anything. That team would have no chance with LeBron, Doncic, and Kyrie. Are they 4th seed in the West? Like, I don't know where. Is he going to go to
There's
a
not an obvious place
like
to go.
KD joined the best team in the history of the NBA. The literally winningest teams.
Yeah.
Unless the only kind of ring chase is if he joined the Nuggets like right now. I mean, he's not going to do that, right?
No, and honestly, I think it would hurt his legacy a bit.
Yeah.
And I think he might be so above reproach at this point. Either you think it's Jordan or him. Last night, his own wife said, he's the GOAT, which, listen, of course you say that about your husband. I'm not going to get into that about Savannah and LeBron, but that was an ESPN production. I doubt that Savannah wrote that script herself. Or I think they wanted to go with an angle here about giving LeBron this big award because he became the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. And then they had, it was probably suggested to her to say something like that.
Wait, I was wondering, I didn't know why he was up there. So he won an award for becoming, what's the award called?
I forgot. What was the award called? Did anyone else watch the ESPYs?
It was like the best record-breaking performance of the year or something.
They made something up.
Who was he up against? Like Ohtani or something?
Honestly, Ohtani should have probably won, no matter what it was.
Yeah, here's a real issue. I think he'd rather play with his son than try and win another title. I think he's fine. Like you said, I think he's fine with 4. I think he knows unless he gets it done this year, he's not going to be effective enough to win a title.
Well, but that's the whole point of the ring chasing, right? You're not the main star. Durant was one of the main stars, but the idea about LeBron ring chasing in his 40s is that he's a bit more of a bit player on a team, in which case he's going to get more, I don't want to say lambasted for it, but kind of.
He'll get killed. But
he's too big. His presence looms too large.
Usually this ring chasing doesn't work. I think LeBron knows his NBA history really well. He'll talk to Charles Barkley, tried to ring chase in Houston. It totally fell apart. Pippen ring chased a little bit at the end. He was actually trying to get paid.
Yeah.
But he
was contract chasing.
I think it's really hard to win at the end. I mean, Jordan, ironically, did the opposite of ring chasing. He went to a place where rings never come in Washington. I know he owned part of the team. So I don't think LeBron's really going to consider that. The other thing, too, the way the NBA is now, if you told him, hey, I have a guaranteed spot where you can win a title, I just don't think there's so much parity. We've had 5 champions in a row. It's going to be really hard. I think he's very, very image conscious. So I think what he's going to do is, my prediction is, he would rather the narrative of I chose to go out with my son. I think that's his.
Who could hate on that?
Right. Who could hate on that? And that's almost heroic in a different way than getting a ring, because I think he knows he's not winning another ring unless it's this year.
Yeah. Although I just said who could hate on that. People will find a way to hate on that. That's big time, because they're going to say the only reason why Bronny's even in the NBA is because LeBron, he's not good enough, all that. Stupid Maggie. People will find a way to hate on everything. Laura in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, she agrees with me. They made up the award to give to him, but LeBron and Savannah were scripted, and I think so too. So get ready, guys, because this is going to be the rest of our natural lives, which is LeBron and Michael Jordan try to go back and forth, convincing us that they were the greatest players ever.
I can't.
LeBron has, his wife gets up there and says he's the GOAT. You got the backing of the whole ESPN machine, all that stuff. Meanwhile, Jordan, 10-part documentary, executive produced.
Yeah.
Jordan has a hand in it. Yeah, shown on ESPN. Thankfully, we needed that during the pandemic and would need that anytime in our lives. It's just going to be a battle. Like, who's next? What are they going to do to top each other now?
Well, first of all, there'll be a third player to come along, and
Wembanyama?
Every generation is going to have their guy. I mean, that's just the way it works. So, nobody my age, 50 and above thinks it's Jordan. That just doesn't think it's Jordan.
Yeah.
And nobody everyone your age thinks it's LeBron. Guess what? You're about to get a new generation going to come in and say
people think it's
Shaedon
Steph Curry.
Sharp. I don't know who.
Yeah,
there's going to be another person to come in who's going to top them all. So this is such a generational debate, because obviously an unbiased eye obviously picked Jordan, but that's not my point here.
The thing is that the two of them are going to keep putting this in our faces forever.
But I got to be honest, your argument that ESPN scripted that for his wife, so therefore we should take his wife's claiming he is the GOAT seriously? It's his wife, Maggie.
No,
that's like saying my daughter is the smartest kid in her class. That is the most meaningless speech of all time.
No. It's, of course she would say that. I'm just saying the wife is merely a pawn in the ESPN maybe getting behind this whole LeBron is the greatest ever thing.
Yeah. Okay, you realize that does sound a little ridiculous. It's July. You think they had a board meeting? All right, let's get LeBron's wife to come in here. Wait, what are you talking about?
Who can we get who could really sell this thing?
First of all,
she said 4 words publicly in the last 20 years. Let's get her out there.
If you're going to bother creating some form of conspiracy, this is not the one you're going to create. And of all the things, ESPN, all right, what if we get LeBron's wife to spur this GOAT debate again? Come on.
Well, there's a greater thing coming. I've been in this business too long to not.
And also,
this is just the first step.
I do not think that his wife was scripted, because.
She was.
So the scriptwriter said baddest or whatever her words was. That sounded like pure LeBron's wife.
Nah, you can't let people go up there who are not public speakers. You can't let people go up there with that big of a stage.
Oh, she was reading off a top prompter?
Yeah, without a teleprompter. I mean, you got to give people a little bit of a safety net there. That's not right.
Okay, well.
Pat McAfee was up there doing a monologue, and he did a good job. But, he might be able to. He's got a lot of training in this. He does WWE. He knows how to work the crowd a little bit. You can't let not that Savannah's a regular person. She's, has a lot going for her, obviously, and she seems very smart. But you can't let people who don't public speak for a living go out there and wing it.
So you're telling me somebody was sitting there with their laptop.
Yep.
And actually said, all right, what should she say? Okay, let's go with.
No, they did the scripted thing with the daughter when she's like, your dad is a bad and then the little girl goes, mommy.
So
You can't
I just
curse.
can't see a writer saying, I think LeBron James is the baddest to ever set foot on a bat. I guess so.
Well, the writers
Nobody
are
was
all on
like,
strike, so these are just regular people in a boardroom trying to figure this out.
Nobody wrote LeBron James is the baddest mother. I can't see that happening.
I bet an executive at ESPN wrote that.
Oh, my God.
Or someone.
An
I don't
intern,
know.
maybe.
Intern. Why not? Summer interns. We've
Was it
got
Brooke?
ours in here today. What?
Was it Brooke?
It could have been.
All right, Brooke, did you write that?
I mean,
She says yes.
I know. Listen, we got to the bottom of that in 2 seconds. But writer's strike is really starting to, I'm starting to feel it a little
But
bit.
by the way, I think
Come
LeBron's
back,
wife
people.
might have had some lines. I think she ad-libbed the baddest mother bleeper. I think that was an ad-lib. Will you
the
give me
daughter
that?
was there. She's like 7. You can't expect a little kid to be able to improv with you. That all had to be rehearsed.
Oh, okay. I'm watching it now. First of all, I've never seen a half a second of the ESPYs.
I know.
I
This is
did take my-
Perloff's greatest claim
Yeah.
to fame.
I mean, my social media was flooded with LeBron's stupid sunglasses last night. That was overwhelming everything. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. He looks like a cartoon character. But the whole
Took them
thing,
off to accept the award.
yeah, I mean, and everyone's like, first of all, LeBron is clearly like, I have a nice family, you have a nice family. He's clearly showing off that he's got the most awesome family in the history of the world.
I know.
I mean, how this
Wouldn't
guy,
you?
he's already got 4 championships. Does he need to have 2 NBA future sons who like to do awesome TikToks as a whole family? Like, all right, we get it. You're amazing, LeBron. You don't have to say lucky for us that we get. Yeah, I get it. I'm anti-LeBron for all this. Lucky for us, we get to see you play and we get to see your family's better than ours. Enough, LeBron.
All right.
Lucky for you guys, that day is not today.
Lucky for us. All right, chat, getting a little too excited about our intern. Calm down, guys. Calm down. Everyone, just take it back a step.
Oh, boy.
She's going to be fine. We're taking care of it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, the Great Debate Series continues today as we march on with our top 5 greatest teams of the last 30 years. Monday, we did baseball. Tuesday, we did college football. Yesterday, we did the NFL, which people are still mad at us about. Today, it's the NBA. Top 5 greatest NBA teams of the last 30 years. We reveal our list to you next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff. Again, watch us, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. You can listen to the show on the absolutely free, crystal clear Odyssey app, which you can download. Also, Sirius XM channel 158, and across the country on these fabulous CBS Sports Radio stations.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Oh, okay. One sec. I got to get your sponsor that you sent me. This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by Wrangler. It's Wrangler season out there. Open roads, endless horizons. Shop Wrangler.com for new denim styles. This is Maggie Gray with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Wrangler. It's Wrangler season out there. Open roads, endless horizons. Shop Wrangler.com for new denim styles. This is going to be 25 seconds of a sports. That's it. Arch Manning may be on campus now at the University of Texas, but incumbent quarterback Quinn Ewers is showing people he's still the guy. At Big 12 Media Day Wednesday, Ewers was 20 pounds lighter, says he is committed to truly learning the Longhorns playbook, and most notably cut his famous mullet. As Ewers said, quote, "It's time to grow up." I'm Maggie Gray.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Before we get back into our great debate series, the best NBA teams of the last 30 years, I put out a little tweet here, Maggie. If LeBron was going to ring chase next season, where would he go?
Good one.
Can I just share a couple of the responses?
Go ahead.
Dallas Morning News writer Calvin Watkins says the New York Jets. Several people.
He's always said he would be a great tight end, right?
Several people say Denver. Several people say the Kansas City Chiefs. So one person says the Bengals. One person says Miami, and one person. The Scooter B23 says Middle Earth. I get it. It's a Lord of the Rings reference, chasing a ring. I thought that was good. So people are not engaging this as seriously as I had hoped to. They're not breaking down the rosters of the different teams.
Well, I mean, think about it. Michael Jordan left to go play baseball. Why couldn't LeBron go to the Jets or go to the Kansas City Chiefs?
It'd be an amazing tight end. He'd be great. He's getting a little old. But.
Yeah, that's kind of the odd thing, though. It's like you don't want your body to take that kind of punishment when you're 42. It's like, I'm going to pick up professional football. As if I haven't been through enough.
Well, look,
Antonio put myself in a wheelchair.
Yeah, Antonio Gates did it. Tony Gonzalez did it. They went from basketball to football. I can do it.
Yeah.
That being said, I would not count LeBron out. I'd line him up maybe a defensive end and later in his career, just block passes.
He's like the new J.J. Watt swatting down at the line of scrimmage.
Block field goals, that kind of thing.
You know, to be fair, we did not say what ring he would be chasing.
Just very fair.
You know, so shame on us.
Maybe he's with Tom Brady, gets in on the Raiders ownership and chases that kind of ring.
Oh, yeah. Brady comes back, plays quarterback for the Raiders, and LeBron is lining up opposite Devontae Adams.
You know what's really sad? I didn't even understand that Middle Earth tweet until I read it out loud to you. I'm like, Middle Earth? What does that mean?
Wait, but I thought you're the Lord of the Rings nerd.
Everyone thinks I'm a
here.
Lord of the Rings nerd. I am not that into the Lord of the Rings. I have to admit, I've actually never even read it.
I'm just going to judge the book by its cover here. Yeah. You kind of look like a Lord of the Rings person, you know?
No, I know. Like everyone assumes I'm a Lord of the Rings person.
Like you're a very well-read person. You were English major at an Ivy League school. You wear glasses.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. We were kind of studying the great writers of all time. I'm not sure Lord of the Rings was really.
Tolkien's not a great writer of all time.
It was okay. I mean, it's science fiction.
Okay.
Science fiction. I was sort of studying the Bard. Shakespeare. You ever heard of him? I was breaking down Chaucer for my professor. No, I don't know. I never did
stuff
Lord of the Rings.
really helps you in your life.
And I have to admit, like you, Maggie, I did not love the Lord of the Rings movies. I enjoyed a lot of other things.
Come on over to the light side. It's like going to the movies to take a very expensive nap.
I wouldn't go that far, but I just thought the movies, they tried to do too much in the three movies, and there was hours and hours of my
The
life. I
books are
thought it
like
was
thousands of pages long, so for them to even cram what they could onto the big screen was pretty impressive.
So you loved it, Mike.
I love the original 3. They made The Hobbit.
There's more?
Yeah, they did the Hobbit 3 movies, and they were terrible.
Is that Sean Astin, our guy from Broody?
No,
No,
it's
the Hobbit was the guy from The Office, right?
No, what's his name?
Well,
Yeah,
Billy
Martin
Wolf in
Freeman.
the chat says,
Martin
as
Freeman.
a Lord of the Rings person, we do not claim Perloff. So apparently the chat's into the Lord of the Rings.
No, I once got Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick Show made Sean Astin give me a Lord of the Rings quiz. And I was like, Dan, you don't want to do this. Give me a Game of Thrones quiz. And Sean goes, what's the name of the sword that turns blue? I'm like, blue sword?
Oh, gosh. Come on, McLovin.
Sean Astin. And then Rudy actually stared me down like, you phony. I'm like, dude, I love Rudy. Does that count for anything?
RPC says Tolkien was a high-functioning schizophrenic. Can we double-check that? Okay. 855-212-4CBS. Yes.
Also, he wrote his books. He was at the cafe with C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Narnia series, which was actually my favorite as a kid. You read that, right?
No.
Chronicles of Narnia?
No.
You didn't get your Narnia
Oh,
on?
you do Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe?
I tried.
Oh, no.
I think I did the Cliff Notes on that one for my 5th grade
They
book
butchered the
report.
movies.
Thank you, Stu. Stu and I are kind of lockstep on this stuff.
we are.
You know, no road trips, no reading this crap.
I feel like me and Perloff are on the same page.
Yeah.
I loved all of them. Like I read the whole. I have the whole set at home.
I have a question that's going to come off as mean. Stu, what book? Do you read a lot of
I
books?
don't read sports books sometimes, but not often.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Stu could be a book on tape guy.
What do you do with your hours, Stu?
He watches
Yankees?
sports.
Sports.
He's the one who's really
But
watching
even in the
everything.
middle of summer, like last
Soccer,
night, there was no MLB
baseball.
games on.
Is everything on?
What did you
There's always
watch last
something
night?
on.
What did you watch last night? Because I know you didn't
I
watch
watched
the Astros.
Team USA soccer team.
Oh, yeah,
stink
Panama.
and play awful against Panama.
But it was the B team.
I know, but still.
Also,
It's frustrating.
You're a completely different person on social media. You're way meaner on social media.
Wait a minute. This is what Anthony Gallo, who works over at WFAN, has always maintained about Stu. He's like, you guys don't see the real Stu. He's nice to you guys.
Yes.
Stu's very mean. I'm like, that's impossible. Stu's my emergency contact.
Yeah, Stu's the best.
If anything ever happens to me, just call Stu. And apparently he's a jerk.
No. Honestly, like you've made Yankee players cry on social media. I've seen
It's very biting.
Yeah, you're really tough on the team.
Keyboard warrior.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Keyboard warrior.
855-212-4CBS. We got to get to the list, but quickly, Chris is in Pennsylvania. We're talking about where would LeBron go if he were to ring chase. Chris, what do you have?
Hi, guys. I followed LeBron's career, and I'm a Laker fan now that he left Cleveland. But I could see him playing one more year with the Lakers. Do you guys really believe if he leaves after this next year, I could see him going home maybe to Cleveland and saying, I'm going to finish it out here one last, hurrah.
Yep.
I know he wants to play with his son, but, depending on where his son would go, that would be a difficult place to, what do you got? What's your thoughts on that?
Chris, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
LeBron, Cleveland, the pull of being home. Can someone just double check the Cavs do have their draft picks coming up because that Donovan Mitchell trade? I just want to make sure they actually would have the ammo to possibly get Bronny. But is Bronny even going to be a first-round pick? Is he going to be a second-round pick? I don't know. So
It seems like he's moved up mock drafts, actually to top 10, because I think he had a really good tournament. I don't know. I don't know how to judge these.
He'll be going in the first round.
But Cleveland's got a lot of young pieces. That is not a bad. I mean, you could do both, maybe ring chase and play with Bronny at a team like Cleveland. And LeBron said he loved Atlanta. Atlanta's got a lot of nice young players, so maybe he finds a middle road where he plays with Bronny but has an outside shot. Wouldn't that be the best?
it definitely would. Let's get to our great debate series.
The Great Debate Series. Best teams of the last 30 years.
And today we tackle the NBA. Just a hint, tomorrow we're doing college basketball. But today, the NBA takes center stage. So best teams the last 30 years. Here we go. Number 5 on the list is the 04-05 San Antonio Spurs.
2 on the shot clock. And from the corner, it's Duncan. Duncan puts it on the floor. Lays it off to Ginobili. The 2 on the clock. Huge.
Massive. This was peak Big Three. So you've got Duncan, only played 66 games that year, but was first team All-NBA because he was that good. He dealt with an ankle sprain mid-season. You had Parker, his best defensive season of his career. Manu Ginobili was an all-star, led the Spurs in win shares in the playoffs. You had Robert Horry, who has joined the show frequently, was phenomenal, almost won a finals game single-handedly. Brent Berry was fantastic. Bruce Bowen, another first-team All-NBA defensive effort turned in. Of course, you got Greg Popovich. Of all the Spurs teams that were so great, to me, 04-05 was the best. Perloff, this one was tough for you and I to agree on.
Yeah, this is my really only disagreement with you on this one.
Yep.
I think it's a little weird because it's an old Tim Duncan, but the 13-14 team is actually more dominant, had more wins. They set a record. They had the most lopsided finals in the history of NBA finals. They won a 70-point differential over the full LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh Heat. That's incredible to me. They had more of a team. So here's a repeated
That was
theme.
Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi is the Finals MVP that year.
Right, but they had Kawhi Leonard was the Finals MVP. They had about 9 or 10 guys who contributed. Tim Duncan was not the superstar anymore, but they played team basketball. They were 62-20. Here's the other thing too. They were on this crazy revenge tour because it was a year after the Heat barely beat them in the finals. The Ray Allen three-pointer. So. I don't know if you count that, but this was the most motivated Spurs team of the run, the most, the best numbers. It was an old Tim Duncan. I think you're right. The 04-05 team might have beaten them, but they're still just what they accomplished was a little greater to me. But we're splitting hairs. I mean, it's the Spurs, same team.
When I tell you that Perloff and I argued about this for no less than 5.5 hours, would you say? Combined,
yeah, we went back
over
and forth.
2 days,
and
maybe
we
more.
put in we had the 07 Spurs in that list too. I mean,
couldn't do it though because of the Tim Donaghy, the cheating scandals and stuff that were surrounding that.
I had no problem with that.
Let's move on. Number 4 on the list, the 2012-2013 Miami Heat.
Oh, they got the rebound on the miss. Wade will throw it to LeBron. He'll hold on. They'll play keep away. And they'll give it to Chris Bosh. And the Miami Heat are going to be back-to-back champions of the basketball world. It never gets old having a parade for the 3rd time down Biscayne Boulevard.
Was that Heat radio? No, fantastic call. They went 66-16 that year. They also had a 27-game winning streak that started from February 3rd, Perloff, and didn't end until March 25th. Phenomenal. They were top 5 in points per game and defensive points allowed. They were second in offensive rating in the playoffs, beat Milwaukee, beat Chicago, swept Milwaukee, beat Chicago, beat Indiana, and then beat the Spurs in 7 games in that 2012-2013 season. The better, I think, of the two title teams for the Heatles, and phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason they're not higher than 4 is they had a battle in the postseason where a lot of these teams, if you're looking at top 5 teams, I think part of it is you got to run through the playoffs. And I think you could argue maybe you got a little lucky against them Spurs in the final game. Ray Allen, that was cutting close for this Heat team. How come they didn't win the playoffs more easily? It's kind of funny to me. Like, they really had to fight.
I think because, listen, I think those Chicago teams with Joakim Noah and Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose, when he was healthy, were better than people remember. And those Indiana teams were better than people remember. Paul George, I know Roy Hibbert, you're like, haha, but those were good teams. They were tough.
You know what it is? They created such an expectation. When LeBron got there, he said, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. I thought at the time, oh, my God, they're going to win 5 NBA titles. It's going to be, so easy for them. But the truth is, it wasn't. I think LeBron, to his credit, worked so hard on those teams. Nothing came easy to that team. And I think it was also important LeBron took over the team from Wade.
Yep.
Wade was great. But I think that was a transition that they had to figure out. When he joined there, it's like, oh, it's Dwayne Wade's team, and LeBron became the full LeBron.
And credit to Wade. He's the one who stepped back. Okay, number 3 on the list, the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers.
Bryant trying to shake off Snow. Here's Bryant.
Marv Albert on that call. Stu, Laker fan, was very happy with this. The middle of the three-peat is the team we went with. They lost 1 game in the postseason. That set a record at the time, 15-1. later was matched by the Golden State Warriors. They beat Portland, they beat the Suns, they beat the Spurs, they beat Perloff 76ers, and the only game they lost in the finals was an overtime game in Game 1 against Allen Iverson and those Sixers. So this team was a one that added Horace Grant. Shaq was first-team All-NBA. Kobe was second-team All-NBA. They both were All-NBA defensive teams that year. And, of course, Shaq was the finals MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Philly did get one lasting memory out of that finals. Allen Iverson got to step over Ty Lue.
But Ty Lue, he's like the guy who gets remembered.
Unless the officials called fouls on Shaq, there's no team ever. I mean, you could not stop Shaq. He was so good at this point. And my guy, Kobe, it was a great one.
And, Stu, you thought this was the best team of the three-peat.
I did, yeah. The first team the year before that won like 11 more games during the regular season, but they kind of struggled a little in the postseason. And the third team was good. Obviously, you had the Donaghy situation, which kind of, maybe puts a little asterisk on that title. But I think the second middle title was the best team and the most impressive for sure.
Let's move on. Number 2 on the list are the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors.
Redemption has brought the Warriors back home. The Golden State Warriors are the 2017 NBA champions. Final score, Golden State 129, Cleveland 120. The Warriors win the NBA Finals and capture the NBA title for the second time in 3 years. Let's end the discussion right now. The Golden State Warriors have a seat at the table with the best teams of all time.
Wow, the call right on the nose. Nice job there, Samter. So this is a year after the 73-9 team that lost to the Cavaliers. Kevin Durant comes on board. They go 67-15. Again, match those 2000-2001 Lakers where they only lost one game in the entire postseason, and that was in the finals. They were first in points scored that year. They beat Portland. They beat Utah, San Antonio, then the Cavs. You had Durant and Curry both averaging 25 points per game that season. Clay averaged 22. And then Durant and Curry both averaging 28 points per game in the playoffs. First of 2 finals MVPs for Durant. This was the team.
Yeah. Now, listen, should we have put the 73-win team on there?
Let's save that discussion for a second, and we'll reveal number 1. Why don't we circle back to it?
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Number 1 on the list of greatest NBA teams of the last 30 years. The 1995-96 Chicago Bulls.
On the floor here at the United Center, the Michael Jordan comeback will be completed. Here is Jordan kicking it out. We are just under 1 minute.
First full season back from Jordan after he played baseball. It was an MVP season for him. He won finals MVP, so it was his 4th MVP overall, 4th finals MVP. He was all defensive, second team that year. He led the league in scoring, averaging 30 points per game. They were first in offense that season. They were third in defense. Pippen, of course, all defensive first team, and that was the 4th straight year that he was on that list. They went 72-10. And this was the first championship of the second three-peat. They added Rodman. They added Steve Kerr. They added Kukoc. They added Luke Longley, along with Jordan and Pippen and Phil Jackson at the helm. This was the greatest team of the last 30 years.
Hard to argue. I mean, I think the only legitimate argument is, did we get the right Bulls team? The 72 win sort of put it out of the league. The only thing is in the first three-peat, if you wanted to pick one of those teams, I would argue Michael Jordan was a little bit better because he was younger. So
scoring more.
He scored more. I think the last time he led the league in steals was 93. I mean, he was a menace on defense. But the overall team, the guys around him were definitely better in the last three-peat. You can't argue adding Kukoc. And also, I think Pippen gained some confidence a little bit. He was a different player in the second three-peat. He was like an MVP-type player, where the first one, he was a little younger. So everything about that team was unbeatable. I think both eras could have competed with anybody.
Yep.
But it was like, that was the team. You know what I got confused with, Maggie? I kept thinking the 98 team because I watched The Last Dance. And I realized that, wow, that 96 team was better than the 98 team.
If you want to go through some of the metrics and things like that, they were the 95-96 team is the best team. Yes, Samter, you look like you want to say something.
So I just, I know obviously we're trying to spread it out for as many of the different various dynasties throughout the past 30 years. But I said this before the show, and Steve Tannen on Twitter says the same thing. No idea how it turns out that the 96 Bulls are number 1 and the 97 Bulls aren't number 2.
Right.
The exact same team. They went from 72 wins to 69 wins.
Yeah.
They, instead of losing only one game in the, one game in the Eastern Conference playoffs, they lost 2 games in the Eastern Conference
there
playoffs.
you go.
Yeah.
They beat the Jazz instead of the
Should've tried
Sonics.
harder.
It was basically the exact same team.
Supersonic Steve was really good.
Yeah, and the Jazz team was
Jazz
really
team
good
was
too. They went
good, too.
to back-to-back finals and lost 4-2, including obviously the Bryant shot. It's hard. I understand we want to spread it out, but I honestly look at the list and I say if the 95-96 Bulls are number 1, then the 96-97 Bulls have to be on the list too.
Okay, but
Even
the
if they're not number 2.
95-96 Bulls were literally number 1 in offensive rating and number 1 in defensive rating in the league that year. Because we're doing degrees of greatness, you're kind of getting into some of the molecular numbers here. And honestly,
No, he's saying that
a lot of teams should be represented, though.
Right. I agree. You're not going to do a list of 4 Bulls teams. What?
Well, listen, we're talking about
the same people.
We're talking about the 5 best teams since 1993. And listen, I don't disagree that the 95-96 Bulls are the best Bulls team of the 6, but if the 96-97 team is the second best team, they're still probably better than all the other teams.
I know. This is difficult. I mean,
this is something you could have talked on the side to us about, Mike. Our mics are open. No, I understand, but I think this is a much more fun way to do the list myself.
I think that basically what we want to do is be a little more representative of everything that happened in 30 years. So you want to tell the story of the NBA over the last 30 years with the best teams. The Bulls are being the number 1. You're getting the gist there, Because what are you going to leave off? You're going to leave off the 2000-2001 Lakers? That's ridiculous. You can't tell the story of the NBA the last 30 years with them. You can't tell the story of the NBA the last 30 years without the Spurs. Same with the Warriors.
Spurs,
what are you going to do?
The Spurs were a little tricky because they spread out their titles, and it wasn't as easy to pick one Spurs team. That's why we tripped on them.
Oh, my gosh. We debated this forever. The other thing was the 73-win Warriors.
Yeah, what do you do with them?
So what do you do with the 73-win Warriors who broke, obviously, the Bulls' best record of the regular season, but the Durant teams were just better, and they lost in the finals.
I would have liked to see that 73-win team without Durant play the Durant teams because you lost a little. When Durant got there, I think you lost 5% of Steph. And then when Durant left and you got all the Steph back, and that was an interesting team. But, by the way, can I just say one thing? The 93 Bulls, Michael Jordan averaged 41 points a game in the finals against the Phoenix Suns, which still stands as the most ever. Early Jordan was not going to lose either. So that's not even fair.
It could have just been a list of all Bulls teams.
Yeah,
that's not very fun.
It could have been 4 Bulls teams in the 01 Lakers.
Yeah, probably. Maybe it should have been. Let us know what you think. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, is a legendary coach really on the hot seat? We'll get to that after this CBS Sports Update with Mychal.
Sports Flash.
All right, guys, Jets making a move, reportedly coming to terms with Quinnen Williams on a 4-year deal at $96 million, $66 million said to be in guaranteed money. Williams now the second highest paid interior lineman in the NFL, next to only Aaron Donald. Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund reportedly wanted Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy to partially own teams and be captains after the merger took place with LIV and PGA. That apparently was quickly dismissed. McIlroy continues to have poor feelings toward LIV, saying if LIV Golf was the last place to play golf on earth, he'd rather retire. Meanwhile, fallout still there from the Victor Wembanyama Britney Spears incident in Las Vegas. Seems like Spears is the one to let this go. Security for the top overall pick of the NBA knocked Spears' arm down as she reached for the 7'4" Frenchman.
I've been with the most famous people in the world. Instinct at one time, girls would literally throw themselves at them. On my way into the place, actually, I was knocked down by 3 12-year-olds trying to get my picture. My security not one time touched them or even came near them. Point being is, I didn't appreciate the people saying that I deserve to be hit, because no woman ever deserves to be hit.
Spears also reiterated her hope for a public apology. I'm Mychal.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Perloff. We just revealed our list. Top 5 greatest NBA teams of all time. Just run through them really fast. The 04-05 Spurs is number 5. Number 4 on the list, the 2012-2013 Miami Heat. Number 3 on the list, the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers. 2 on the list, the 2016-2017 Warriors. And topping the list, the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. So let us know how we did. 855-2124-CBS, 855-2124-227. You can also find us on social media at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter, at Maggie and Perloff on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, and everywhere else. This is interesting. This is not a sports thing, but just quickly. So, the Writers Guild has gone on strike, like people who write scripted television shows.
Yep.
Well, now the Actors Guild, the SAG, Screen Actors Guild, has now also gone on strike. So this is 160,000 actors, working actors, are now actively striking because they want a bigger slice of the pie from some of the studios and streaming services to get paid commensurate with how much money, the platforms are making. So Emily Blunt and do you pronounce it Cillian Murphy?
I think so. The guy from 28 Days Later, yeah.
Yeah, so the 2 stars.
Oh, and then Peaky Blinders
of Oppenheimer just walked away from promoting the movie.
Yep.
And are no longer going to be promoting the movie. This is pretty wild. I mean, I know that Hollywood has things in the can, so all of a sudden we're not going to just there's nothing to watch anymore because things get greenlit and worked on for years and years. But this is rather serious.
Well,
for
yeah,
our entertainment purposes.
I think also the Writers Guild had shut down production already because you can't do a movie without a lot of the production shut down because you need a writer on set to do tweaks and stuff. So we're already going to have 6 months of nothing to watch on Netflix. And I'm not complaining about that. This is very important. I understand.
No, I mean, listen, this is not like the war in Ukraine. We get it. There are things that are much more important.
Yeah.
But this is very interesting just in terms of the media industry to have 2 of the major unions striking at the same time.
Well, I think it's interesting I was just saying, I don't want to complain because there's nothing for me to hit on Netflix when these people are actually fighting for fair pay. And
I know, how dare you?
Yeah, I don't think that's super cool to complain. So last time they went on strike, when the writers went on strike, the reality TV thing hit like crazy. Exploded. Now it's already exploded. So what's next? I think young people are not going to be, it's another sign this could push young people away from TV.
You want to know what it's already taken over? It's like TikTok videos.
Absolutely.
Don't need a writer for those.
Sure
for like
don't.
Our intern, Brooke, this is their generation.
I have an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old. And I'm like, listen, you can't sit and watch your phone on TikTok. Would you please watch something on cable television right now? They're like, no, Daddy, I don't want to watch TV. Don't make me watch TV. It's so boring.
It's like, can you please look up, just look up from your phone to look at a different screen, a much larger screen.
They won't do it. It's like homework for them to watch like the newest Marvel movie. They just want to watch TikTok over and over again.
All right. Well, that's a little interesting. Some breaking news outside of the sports world.
You got to do your quiz on the union head. See if the guys.
Oh, yeah. Okay. For Stu and for Samter, you guys are not part of the union. Perloff and I have to pay dues and stuff. Do you know who is the head of SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, and the Broadcasters Union? Do you know who is the head of this?
I don't.
It's an actress who was in a popular sitcom many, many years ago.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
No.
Not a bad guess. But she has a voice that you would not think president of anything with. Her voice.
Fran
Drescher.
Wow.
The nanny's the head.
I remember seeing something about that. Yeah.
The nanny's the head of the union. Go get him, Fran.
And tell them who she replaced.
She replaced Andrea from 90210, whatever her real name is. I forgot.
Gabrielle Carteris.
Yes.
Gabrielle. And before that was
Jinx.
I'm looking at all this. This is a great list of actors. Ken Howard, the White Shadow, was. And then later, I think he's a character actor for 8 years. Do you remember Ken Howard? You've seen The White Shadow?
Yeah.
Then a lot of weird people. Melissa Gilbert, Ronald Reagan, the president, Patty Duke, Ed Asner. James Cagney was one. So you're going from James Cagney to Fran Drescher?
Listen, everyone's fighting the power out there, Who tell the nanny no? I mean, that was the whole thing about the show. Anyway, so that's a little aside on what's going on in the entertainment industry. Meanwhile, we go back to sports, which is what you're here for. And there's a lot of smoke now that's kind of building, and it's hard to tell because the Patriots are so notoriously close-lipped, and it's so hard to get true information to come out of that organization. Is Bill Belichick actually on some sort of hot seat? Now, people are putting together some tea leaves, or reading some tea leaves, rather, about Gerard Mayo being retained at all costs. Apparently, he's making a ton of money as one of the top assistants for Belichick. And the fact that Robert Kraft is sort of, I don't know, fed up, I guess, with the fact that they missed the playoffs this year and really didn't put up much of a fight in their playoff appearance with Mac Jones in his rookie year. So I guess there's something here. I refuse to believe it. I think Belichick has this job for as long as he wants it. There's already was a decision made when you went Belichick over Brady. And I understand why they did it at the time. Turned out probably wrong. But Belichick, to me, decides when he leaves. I think he's going to stay until he breaks Don Shula's all-time record. I think that Belichick is going to be the one who says when he's done.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it was a mistake, because I don't know if Tom Brady could have won a Super Bowl in New England. It was the roster had been going south. I have no worries about Bill Belichick, the coach. I have serious concerns about Bill Belichick, the general manager. I mean, here's the thing. Who would want to take over that job? The cupboard seems really bare to me.
Is that just because the rest of the AFC East is getting better and better, or because you don't believe in Mac Jones? I mean, this is still a very good defense. And
I definitely don't believe in Mac Jones.
Okay, I'm a little more bullish on Mac Jones. I'm not writing him off totally. I mean, the guy was middle of the round, first round pick, stellar career at Alabama. We said we should have put that 2020 Alabama team on our greatest college football teams of all time, of which he was the quarterback for. I think he's like more than capable. Like, it's step above competent and capable. I think you can win with Mac Jones. They added Juju this year. I don't know.
I think that, remember we were looking at their salary cap and we said, like, who are they even paying? Like, they have one star player. They have Matthew Judon.
Yep.
Who else is worth anywhere near max money? There's not a single player on that roster who you say, ooh, I got to have him. So, I mean, that's typical Belichick. He's never needed the high-priced free agents.
No, they make the stars there.
They make the stars, but listen, Tom Brady did not have a lot of Hall of Fame talent around him, but they made it work. I think Brady probably wanted out of there because I think he's not done a great job drafting. I think it's catching up to them. So even if Gerard Mayo does take over, I think they need a rebuild in New England. So eventually everyone has to rebuild, even the great teams. Is Bill Belichick going to stick around for a rebuild? And I kind of get why there's some smoke here. Is Robert Kraft going to want Bill Belichick at the helm of a rebuild?
Well, here's my question. For the most part, Bill Belichick assistants have not really gone on to great things. Bill Belichick front office disciples, kind of a mixed bag. Guys in Detroit before, guys now at the Raiders. Let's see how that works out. It's not always a total slam dunk that his front office disciples are great. So who's going to take over for him? Monty
Austinford in Arizona? No, I have no idea. That's the thing. Dynasties get old, Maggie. There's just nothing you can do about it. At a certain point, you have to start over.
Coming up, Mychal Thompson, the former number one overall pick, the two-time NBA champ, the father of Clay, and Lakers broadcaster will join us to weigh in on our top 5 greatest NBA teams of the last 30 years. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Boy, there's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that
Oh
you
my
were
gosh,
giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days.
Oh no!
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going.
This is all the
This
sugar.
is going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe
Yeah.
stand up.
Why don't we
Maybe just start running out of the office.
Honestly.
Well,
Real talk here,
That
man.
was just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country on CBS Sports Radio. Big Thursday because we revealed our top 5 greatest NBA teams of the last 30 years. This is part of our Great Sports Debate series that we've been doing all summer long. So, Stu, quickly, let's hit the music before we introduce our guest.
The Great Debate Series. Best teams of the last 30 years.
And of course, today, the NBA. So I'm not going to go through the spiel of each team, but I'll reveal the teams and then we'll get to our guest. So number 5 on the list, the 2004-2005 San Antonio Spurs. Number 4 on the list, the 2012-2013 Miami Heatles. Number 3 on the list, the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers, the middle of the three-peat. Number 2 on the list, the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors. That's the first year with Kevin Durant, a year after the 73-win team. And number 1 on our list, the 1995-1996 Chicago Bulls, the first full season after Jordan came back from playing baseball, the first of the second three-peat. Let's get to our guest. He's a 2-time NBA champion himself. He's the former number 1 overall pick and the color analyst on Lakers radio. And that is Mychal Thompson, also father of Clay. Mychal, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is a topic is a lot of fun to talk about, and Magic Johnson almost ran me out of Los Angeles when we were talking about this, and I was making these statements publicly on the air. Magic didn't appreciate what I was saying, and he threatened to have the mayor deport me from L.A.
Wait a minute. What was the discrepancy over?
Well, we were talking about the greatest teams in history over the last 40, 50 years. You guys have only gone back 30, but we were talking about it on the air on my show out here in L.A. a couple of years back, and we were talking about this very topic.
Refresh our memory. Yeah, refresh our memory. So what was Magic so ticked off about?
Well, because since you guys brought it up about who's the best team over the last 30 years, and I said that team that I watched every game in person in the semifinals and finals of the 17-18 NBA Finals, nobody was going to beat Kevin Durant's Golden State team. That team had 3 of the greatest shooters in the history of the game. Nobody could shoot with them, so nobody could beat them. Simple as that. And we're talking about some great teams here, but that's the best. I played with some of the greatest teams in the Showtime era. I played against Jordan. That Warrior team and Kevin Durant, best team I've ever seen.
So you think we got the wrong Warriors team here? Because we put 16-17. We should have put 17-18. I'll tell you the reason why. Because it was a bit of a harder trip through the playoffs for them. Game 7 with Houston. So we thought this 16-17 team that went Portland, Utah, San Antonio, and beat the Cavs 4-1, 15-1 in the playoffs was the better team.
Well, the one went Game 7. Kevin Durant missed that series, didn't he?
Yeah, well, and also was Chris Paul got hurt in that series too, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, but with Kevin Durant, when he was healthy, nobody was going to beat that team. That's why I said 16, 17. Either one works as long as Kevin Durant's healthy. Nobody's going to beat that team. They just shot the ball too well. They were well balanced. They had great guys off the bench. They were well coached, and their defense was very underrated because their shooting was so overwhelming. People didn't really pay attention to their team defense. Draymond Green was the best defensive player in the game. So, no, nobody's going to beat the Warriors. As far as I'm concerned, that's the best team I've ever seen. And I played on some of the greatest teams, played against some of the greatest teams, but I've never anybody could shoot with that team. They were ridiculous. I told Clay, if you guys would have stayed healthy and stayed together, you guys would have won 7, 8 championships.
Is that one of the greatest, maybe bummers, I don't know how to put it, what ifs about Durant leaving to go to Brooklyn? Is that one of the great NBA, if we could just go back in history and keep him on that Warriors team, what could have been?
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I think about that all the time, and Kevin is his own man, and he had accomplished what he went there to do, is win championships. Now he wanted to go on to another challenge, and I don't blame him. I wish he would have stayed, but, yeah, if he would have stayed and continued that quest to try to catch Jordan, I thought they would surpass him if they would have stayed healthy.
Mychal, if you had to pick one Lakers team, forget the 30-year rule for a second. You could pick any Lakers team from any era. What's the greatest Laker team of all time?
Well, of course, I'm biased. So I'm going to say my '87 Lakers team with me and AC Green and me and Kurt Rambis and Michael Cooper coming off the bench. We only went 8 deep. That's all you need to do in the finals is go 8 deep, really, because all your starters are going to play 40 minutes if they're not in foul trouble, and if they're healthy, they should be playing 40 minutes. So you only need 3 guys off the bench. So for me, that '87 team was the greatest Laker team ever.
But Kareem was a little bit older on the second half of the '80s. Could you argue a younger Kareem was better than an older Kareem?
Oh, yeah, of course, the younger Kareem was. But by that time, Magic was in his prime. James Worthy was unstoppable. Byron Scott was one of the greatest shooters that game has ever seen. And Michael Cooper was the best all-around defensive player in the game. So that Laker team, even though Kareem was older and didn't have to carry as much of a load, Kareem had a lot of help where he didn't have to carry the load. They kept him fresh all year.
We're talking to a Lakers legend. That is Mychal Thompson, who was a 2-time champion with the Lakers, now a broadcaster, of course, and joining us on the Maggie and Perloff show. So I talked about the great what if of if Durant had stayed with the Warriors. What about if Shaq and Kobe had stayed together? Now, I know you were around the team then. I mean, thinking back on it now, Mychal, was there any way that team could have been held together?
At the time, no. Shaq was thinking about he wanted more money. He and Kobe weren't getting along. And you are so right, Maggie. 3 championships, they should have won 6 championships, 7. If they would have just stayed together, stayed motivated, stayed committed to winning championships. Kobe was just coming into his prime. Shaq was still in his. Oh, yeah, they could have won 6 or 7 rings if they would have just stayed together.
Okay, so you did play, obviously, against Michael Jordan. I think in my opinion, the strongest argument against your Warriors team would be one of the prime Michael Jordan team. Did you were you in the finals against the Bulls in the first
91,
one?
91, and we lost that finals because Worthy got hurt. If Worthy wouldn't have got hurt, we would have won that finals. We went to Chicago, won game 1. Worthy twisted his ankle, and then he was done for the rest of the playoff, that series. So without Worthy, we weren't going to beat the Bulls. Imagine if Scottie Pippen wasn't playing in that series. The Bulls wouldn't have beaten us, but we weren't at 100% when Michael won that championship that year. And it probably would have gone 7 games, but I thought we would have won it. But, yeah, I mean, that Jordan team was special, too. All these teams you mentioned, all we talking about, they're all special teams.
So, Mychal, Perloff and I have been talking a lot about the Bulls recently, and we kind of had a disagreement about, I think it's kind of a no-brainer that the second three-peat might have been better in terms of complete better team, that the second three-peat was maybe a complete better team than the first three-peat. Perloff didn't agree. Where do you fall on that?
Yeah, I think Michael's second three-peat was better because he was even smarter, and he still was at the peak of his powers. Then they have great complementary players around him. Dennis Rodman was the rebounding and defensive demon, and they had great guys coming off the bench. So because of their experience and their intelligence, basketball IQ that grew throughout the years, I would put this second repeat team bet. His second repeat team would beat the first repeat teams.
It seems like we have a theme here. We have the older, wiser players versus the younger versions of themselves, which brings me to the San Antonio Spurs. We also got an argument where I said the 13-14 Spurs that beat the Heat in the finals.
With Kawhi
Leonard and an older Tim Duncan were actually a better team possibly than 04, 05, 06, 07, and some of the earlier Spurs championships. You buying that at all?
Yeah, that's a good argument. Kawhi was such a good player, such a good all-around player. He was starting to take over that franchise, and other guys, Tim Duncan was still close to being the dominant Tim Duncan, even though he was aging by that time. So that's a good argument because they are much more well-balanced with Kawhi there.
Mychal Thompson is our guest. And again, thank you for carving out some time for us today. Mychal, just a couple more for you. Turning ahead to what's going on. Well, last night you got some good news from LeBron James. I don't know if anyone thought he was actually retiring, but he cleared up that he is not. And lucky us, we're all going to get him for another year. What's the ceiling, do you think, for this this Lakers team?
Well, we made the Final Four last year, and I think that the moves that Rob Pelinka has made, the Lakers have improved, so they can be right back in the Final Four again next year and be threatening for the championships. And I don't know, you guys must not be paying attention to LeBron. Hasn't LeBron told the world that he wants to play at least one season with Bronny?
Yeah.
Bronny's going to be a freshman at SC. Bronny's good enough. He is good enough to be an NBA player. So if he has a good season at SC and elects to leave, then LeBron's going to play 2 more years at least because, he wants to play with his son at least a year.
We were actually thinking where's the perfect place for LeBron to go if he leaves the Lakers. How about playing with your son in Golden State someday? Because, he said a lot of nice things about Steph Curry. That'd be a good team.
Oh, no question about anywhere LeBron goes, he's going to improve the team and add to the team. Even if he's not going to be the dominant player that he once was, when you have that, if you're around LeBron, like I am, when I see him face-to-face or away from the court, when you guys don't see him on the court, but I just see him around the hotels and stuff because I travel with the team, you really don't get a sense of what an amazing physical specimen this guy is. There's not an ounce of fat on him. He works out all the time, all hours of the night. He puts in the time. Even at 38, going to be 39, his body's like he's 28 or 29 years of age, even after 20, 21 years of basketball. The guy is a physical phenomenon. He's different, man. That's why he can do what he does.
He said last night he's never cheated the game. No matter what you think of him, and we're fans, but no matter what you think of him, never cheated the game, and he's so right about that. Mychal, just final thoughts from me here, which is about the Golden State Warriors, which it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple years what the Warriors do and where they go. But this offseason had a big decision to make about Draymond Green. They were open about it, said we want him back, we need him back. Draymond Green being in and Jordan Poole being shipped out. Were you surprised at all that that's how things landed?
Of course. Everybody was surprised when Poole was traded because we all thought that he was going to be part of the future going forward and help the slow down the aging process of Clay and Steph because obviously he's an NBA champion and he's a dynamic player in his own right. But this way, I think the Warriors got smarter, including a guy like Chris Paul, who's a clutch player. Even though he's 38, he doesn't have to carry a team as much as he did 4, 5, 6 years ago. But he knows Chris Paul can fit in anywhere. So that's going to make the Warriors even smarter down the stretch, having him on the floor.
Fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully Magic's not going to yell at you for anything you said here, Michael. I think you're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to Magic, so I might have to go home and start packing my bags and get ready to get shipped back to the Bahamas.
Wait, Michael, you guys buried the hatchet, though, right?
Well, he just told me never say it again on the air, and unfortunately I just did. So don't y'all guys tell anybody I said it again.
Secret safe with us. Mychal Thompson, thank you. He's a two-time NBA champ, former #1 overall pick, Lakers broadcaster, and, of course, father of Clay. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it.
Okay, guys, anytime.
Lends a little credibility to our list that he liked a lot of the teams on there.
Yeah, I mean, he's also an incredibly nice man, so I think that helped with us. But what are you doing telling me? I didn't flat out say that the first trimester of Michael Jordan championships was better than the second.
You think it's a debate, though.
I think it's right. But you said it. Michael Perloff likes the first 3 years. I like the second.
He played against the first three-peat, so I thought maybe he would go with yours.
Yeah. I thought you sold me out a little bit there, Maggie. A little bit. Because I said it's a debate. There's an interesting topic. Listen, what would a younger Michael Jordan look like against that stacked 95-96 team? You're like, yeah, Perloff likes that team that edged Portland. What do you think?
You guys are playing the results here because if he had said, the earlier three-peat was, of course they were better. Jordan was in his prime. Jordan was in his prime later too, but this is Jordan, the peak of his powers, blah, blah, blah. Then you would have looked like
I would say, cut that Sam Coon. I'm sending that out right now.
To be honest, I forgive us. Did not know about the Magic Johnson controversy with him about greatest team ever.
I never heard that.
I'm sure it's out there, but just we were not trying to stir the pot on that. We just didn't know.
He brought it up without provocation. He just threw it out there. All right, well, we have to know now.
I didn't think to Google Mychal Thompson greatest teams of all time debate Magic Johnson before he came on the show.
Well, it's ridiculous, though, because that's like listening to LeBron's wife last night saying that LeBron is the best player. The dude's son is on the team. How could you? What's he going to say? Your kids are more important. Them. Does not matter. Your kids, you are more proud of their team than anything you ever did. You have to support your kids' team.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think so because here's the thing. He never had to say it, right? He didn't have to go out of his way to say my kid's team is better than a team I played on, right? He could have just let us all think what we wanted to, and he put it out there.
You're telling me that if you were being the announcer for Lucas's Little League team, you're not going to say this is the greatest Little League team? I just think Michael should get a pass from Magic Johnson because of the bias there. So
apparently Magic doesn't play around. He doesn't care.
Yeah, and that being said, that's a really interesting debate that he said that 17 team, because those Lakers teams, a completely different style. I think that would be hard for Golden State to handle, but apparently Michael doesn't.
I'm going to take it from him. Dad or no dad, I think he's telling the truth how he sees it. So.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a guy who's had a front row seat to a lot of these guys. He wasn't, one thing that he did not hesitate about at all, we would have beaten that Bulls team. And I know
if Worthy had been healthy.
Yeah, I know that all Lakers fans feel like, oh, yeah. But, again, the confidence of a pro athlete, they always think they're going to win. I don't know if that's 100% true. I mean, that Jordan flew in the air for 9 seconds, switch hands from right hand to left hand. I mean, he actually had the power of flight for about a 6-month period there. I'm not sure.
Aerodynamic.
Yeah, I'm not sure that. I mean, that was the first of 6. I'm not so sure that.
Yeah, but you got to get the first one.
Yeah, they won in 5, and it really wasn't even that close. I'm not 100% sure that James Worthy would have turned the tide.
I don't know. I don't know.
And I think one more thing. As long as we're getting, can we agree with? You say, well, LeBron, we're a fan. You don't have to state that we're fans of LeBron James. He's LeBron James. Who's not a fan of LeBron James?
No. I think the reason why I had to say it, first of all, I don't know if he knew that I was joking when I said, we know LeBron's coming back, so lucky us, right? Like that, It was. So that's the thing. It sounds sarcastic, and he's friends with LeBron. So I don't want to seem like I'm taking a shot at the player who I think is the greatest of all time. So I wanted to preface it by saying we're fans, because he's like, if anyone's been paying attention, he wants to play with Bronny. I do know that it was just like a joke off of the ESPYs last night.
Lucky for you guys.
Yeah.
Which I shouldn't have assumed that Mychal Thompson watched the ESPYs last night.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, though. It's like, Tom Brady, we're fans. Like, we think he's good at football. It's just kind of funny the way, but I totally understand what you're saying.
No, because there are people in our industry who have made a cottage industry and try to really get their names out there.
There's one guy
who try to make money off of LeBron James by just being an anti and kind of being a hater. And we're not those people.
Right. There's no try, by the way. He has made a lot of money off of it.
He's richer than all of us combined and that we ever will be.
Okay.
Speak for yourself. You have no idea what I pull in.
Samter, all your finances. We're wondering how you've been affording to go to all those Marvel movies.
Yeah. And here you are shredding LeBron James. That's the key to making cash in this business.
So I think that we have to question him.
I know.
True.
Stu did get floor seats for Taylor Swift. How? It's one of the life's big mystery. Now, listen, Stu's got his ways. Actually, it was your girlfriend who bought him.
Yeah.
The mystery of Stu.
I know.
Deepens and deepens.
This guy.
It's like a river. It's way deeper than it seems over there.
And dangerous. The tweets and stuff.
Not a lot of reading going on over there.
No.
Or movie watching.
No.
The big question, what is Stu watching? We will never know.
I think you just cut that question off. What is Stu? What is he?
I know.
Stu Kovacs, man of mystery.
It's like Scooby-Doo.
I know. What do we do with this guy?
I don't know. We just keep trying to unpeel layers of the onion, and someday we'll get to the heart of what really Stu is.
Stu had a crazy thing that happened, not to you, but you witnessed a crazy thing. Do you want to tell him the story about when the people stole that woman's phone?
Oh, yeah. I was walking, it was a Saturday. I was walking around this area in New York City, and these two people on a motorized bike drove behind this woman, slapped her phone out of her hand. The guy on the back got up off the bike, picked up her phone. They both got on and drove off.
I mean,
all happened within like 4 seconds. It was so fast.
This is a crazy story. I see this like 6 times a day.
But what are we're just stealing phones
really?
now?
Do you really?
The amount of times I've seen people on scooters do crazy things in the city.
Do you live in Gotham City? I mean, this is some kind of cartoon.
Samter, don't be jealous of Stu's wild life. I mean, the guys, it's okay
what
if
Stu's
you haven't
forgetting to mention is that he was the guy on the back of the scooter.
He saw it because he was doing
wink, wink.
Yeah.
How do you think I got those Taylor Swift tickets? Got us all those phones.
The grass snatching phones all over town. Jeez, Stu. Get a grip. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Appreciate Mychal Thompson there. Coming up, one college football quarterback says he's ready to grow up. Who was it, and why will it matter? We'll tell you next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's the Maggie and Perloff show. So Big 12 media days are going on right now for college football. And Texas has been chosen by the media to come out of the Big 12 this year. This will be their last season in the Big 12 before Texas and Oklahoma move on to the SEC. But as far as Texas is concerned, first let's hear Steve Sarkisian, Stu, on this awkward, if it's going to be awkward with their final year in the Big 12.
It won't be awkward for us. You know, we've got a roster full of players who, quite frankly, came to the University of Texas to try to win a Big 12 championship. We've got one more opportunity to do that, and I think our guys are focused on that.
Okay, so that was Sarkisian. Let's see what the other teams in the Big 12 might have something else to say about it. But the big news, obviously, with Texas is about Arch Manning, Perloff, being on campus, right?
Sure.
We saw the shirtless photo.
Amazing.
Of all the quarterbacks from Texas. A little odd.
Nah, that's what bros do. They get an Instagram photo shirtless, especially if you look like that.
Yeah, please tell me more about what the bros do. But yeah.
That was a bro picture if you've ever seen one.
Yes, it was.
5 shirtless guys.
Just flexing. Like,
they're totally flexing.
Yeah. Anyway, so with Arch Manning on campus, it's kind of like, you know, there's just so much around Arch, right? Not because he is, you know, out there and saying things. No, but just because his famous family and because he was such a highly rated recruit, and he picked Texas, which, you know, I think was a little bit of an outlier. If you were going to think about it, why wouldn't he have gone? Well, he is going to be in the SEC, but I think a lot of people thought Tennessee or Ole Miss or, you know, one of the Manning haunts.
Yeah, or Alabama or Georgia, one of the dominant, you know, winning national title teams. Yes, Texas once in a while through the years always does get that number one type recruit because it's such a giant place and it's got such a history. But you're right, I bet that was surprising.
So Arch goes to Texas, But obviously, there's some other really good quarterbacks on the roster already, including the incumbent, Quinn Ewers. Now, Ewers was on his way to like an all-time incredible game against Alabama last year until he hurt his shoulder. Came back, and the season was okay. It was fine. But now he has rededicated himself, Perloff. Oh, yes, this is a best shape of my life story. Down 20 pounds, no more Chick-fil-A, according to him. Fast food, out. Sweet tea, out. Really diving into the playbook. And to show how serious he is, he shaved his mullet.
Definitely heard the noise, for sure. So it always comes. They loved it, but ultimately I looked at it like it was time for me to kind of grow up, get myself, right. And it was too long, man. It was like touching my back. I was kind of weird.
It was impressive, Quinn.
Apparently, business in the front, party in the back is over.
That's such a shame. I think we're all sad about that.
Well, I kind of get it because the mullet, while a phenomenal hairstyle, it is hard to take someone seriously when they're rocking that kind of a mullet.
Right. I mean, when you come up and you're Joe Dirt with a cannon, it's your nickname. It's unbelievable. The thing about it struck me, I just was looking up Quinn Ewers' bio. He's 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Dude's been around a while now.
He skipped a senior year of high school, remember, to go to Ohio State.
Yeah, he skipped out of South Lake Carroll, signed the first ever $1 million NIL deal, and that was 2 years ago. I mean, it is amazing what this guy's been through. I think he obviously came out way too soon. Like, it sounds like from this quote and the hairstyle and being shallow, he's now feels a little more grown up.
Yeah, no, he was asked about if he regrets skipping out on his senior year of high school to go be an early enrollee at Ohio State where he got buried on the depth chart. He says no. He said he wouldn't. He said it kind of taught him how to grow up a little bit or be on his own or what have you. And now it seems like he's ready. And it'd be hard not to think, I'm sure he's internally motivated and all that, but Arch Manning arrives on campus, might get your behind out of bed. It might make you want to skip Chick-fil-A. It might make you want to study a little bit longer in your playbook. I think this is the Arch Manning effect, I think, is happening even without him actually being the starter right now.
Maybe. I mean, listen, Ewers has a lot of money on the line here. He's projected to be a top 10 pick. He's a top 10 of every mock draft. Do you think really Arch, he wouldn't have been doing this without Arch being there?
Well,
I don't know
if he got beaten out by Arch, then goodbye top 10 pick.
Right. It's not done. Like, if he struggles, then get ready for SMU Quinn Ewers in 2 years. It's not, to me, it's not a guarantee that this hits. So you're right. If he struggles at all, or if he gets hurt, Arch comes in, then he's going to transfer again and be on his third school. So I don't think that Ewers' journey is over. I like Ewers. I think, I saw that Alabama game you mentioned. He was great. He's probably got a better arm than Arch. He's probably more talented than Arch Manning. He just doesn't have the last name. But I saw the pictures, obviously. Is it so stupid, Maggie, that I see the guy with a cleaner haircut and think he's grown up? Are we that shallow?
No, he said it himself.
I know. Who cares what he says? Oh. Do you buy it?
That someone with
you cut a mullet,
like
and all
the
of a sudden,
high and tight haircut.
Yeah, is more mature.
Now you're CEO.
Am I being like, oh, the guy's wearing a backwards hat, he can't be a good quarterback?
A little bit.
Are we buying into the haircut too much? Are we taking Quinn Ewers hook, line, and sinker here?
No, I don't think it's about any old haircut. I think it's the mullet specifically. Okay. That shows you should be on a lazy river somewhere drinking a something, not slinging footballs.
Any haircut that references a party, being in the back or in the front or all over, it doesn't matter. Any haircut that references a party is immediately an immature haircut that you can't be a starting quarterback of an NFL franchise with.
Weed Eater Brian in the chat says, people in my town still rocking mullets hard. Where do you live?
I mean,
like Ironyville, USA?
No, Awesome Town, USA. Who would not want to be at that town? That sounds amazing.
Lucky you guys. Like, you can just, grow out interesting hairstyles for fun, or, I'll have a mustache one day, and then I'll have a beard. I cut bangs once. It was the worst 6 months of my entire life. It was a disaster.
Yeah, but when you were young, I could see young Maggie Gray going purple hair or doing something, shaving aside.
I told you my time as a hair model.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Bad day. When someone comes up to you in a mall and says, hey, you want to be a hair model? Don't go.
Oh, thanks for that advice. Most of us knew that.
Yeah, I guess I was fresh off the bus. What a hayseed I was. First 2 weeks of college, someone comes up to me, hey, you want to be a hair model? I was like, oh, my God, I'm a model? Like, yes. Scissors, cut your hair. Shortest it's ever been.
I think the lesson here is if you have a job interview at a major company, you might want to cut the mullet. Is that what we're learning here?
I got an internship at Westwood One, and my hair was 3 different colors.
There you go.
It was bleach blonde in the front, red in the middle, and purple in the back because of these hair model people. And I got this internship at Westwood One in Washington, D.C., and they were like, I was like, all right, we're going on winter break. When we come back, I'm your intern for the spring semester. And they're like, and how many colors is your hair going to be? I was like, 1. It will be brown when I get back.
By the way,
$300 later, it was brown.
Talking about professional haircuts, mature quarterbacks, did you watch Kirk Cousins in the quarterback documentary on Netflix? Because talking about a guy who is showing no personality with his haircut, that is Mr. Kirk Cousins.
He is so boring in this documentary.
Wait, I was going to ask. I didn't watch it yet.
Episode 1. I watched episode 1. It's it follows Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota on. It's a Netflix, but it's produced by Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning actually speaks a little bit in the doc.
I started it, but I was wondering. Kirk Cousins seems so boring. I actually thought, I'm like, oh, he's going to be the most exciting part about that. They're going to go counter-programming. And Kirk is really just so exciting in real life.
No, not even close. Kirk Cousins exciting in real life? No.
You like that?
Yeah, he's getting a lot of mileage out of that, by the way.
You mean
I really think that was a one-off. That wasn't like his real personality coming through with you like that.
You mean he's not secretly a rock star behind the scenes?
No. I mean, not according to this doc.
I know they opened the whole thing with him reading a bedtime book to his kids.
Yeah, all about, it's like a Sports Illustrated for kids thing.
Yeah, okay, so Kirk Cousins really is boring. Then why is he in the documentary?
Because they made a mistake? I don't know.
Oh, that's terrible.
May I ask, what is the documentary about? Because you have Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota. We got elite, mid, garbage. Like, what exactly is this?
Which one of these is not like the other? Is that what you're asking?
Are we just trying to see all the different levels of quarterback play?
Yeah, kind of. So that it follows last year's season. So it's going all through with this. Mahomes as the superstar and how great he is, and this is just like a Mahomes worship thing because he kind of deserves it, and he's cool and he's loose but serious and intense and. At the same time when he's on the football field, and he just seems like kind of like a good husband and all this stuff. And then Kirk Cousins is the nerdiest person in the world. And then Marcus Mariota is like, his whole thing is his wife is super pregnant, and he fumbles the snap week 1 when the Falcons had a big lead on the Saints in their opener. And then all they need is it's 4th and 1, and all they need is a yard, and he fumbles the snap under center, and the Saints go down and kick a game-winning field goal. And it's like, that is a bad omen.
I reject this, calling Kirk Cousins a nerd. I just think he has a different set of priorities than cool people.
Watch it. I think he's a nerd.
Okay. I told you I was lucky enough to have a long conversation with Kirk at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we compared the different Disney parks and which his children enjoyed more.
Yeah. Sure.
What's nerdy about that? That's called being a dad.
Yeah. His whole thing is like, all right, we're going to have to stay after practice, and we're going to have to go through it. They set him up to look very nerdy. I don't know if they set him up. It's just him being him.
I played devil's advocate. By the way, Marcus Mariota seems like the nicest human being in the entire NFL.
Totally. Yeah, I think it comes across.
And you call him garbage? What's up with that?
Not as the person.
But he was also a great college quarterback. So even a garbage
So was Tim
quarterback.
Tebow. He was still a garbage NFL quarterback. I'm sorry. That's
fair.
Well, Mario.
There's a different level here.
Mariota's
did beat the Steelers in a playoff game.
Yeah. I've heard that many times.
Tom Brady compared to Tim Tebow.
He's a career backup at best.
Now, yeah.
He was a second overall pick in the NFL draft.
And he never was a good quarterback at any point.
He was okay.
He was worse than okay.
That's Stu. He ran in that touchdown one for the Raiders, remember?
Right, that
the
one
big
time.
One touchdown, yeah.
When he was a Wildcat?
Yeah.
They showed that?
It was one highlight. Also, they showed the highlight where he throws the touchdown and catches it.
Yeah, that's it.
They lost that game.
Yeah, the Heisman, Oregon. But everything in the NFL is poor.
Yeah.
I can't
him and Jameis both. I mean, Jameis had a couple seasons with the 40 touchdowns, 40 interceptions. But was it 40 and 40?
30 and 30. Yeah. No, 30 and 30.
And 5,000 yards, by the way.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Jameis had actual flashes. Now, he's still a not good. He's okay. Mariota's a step below that.
Yeah, Mariota is a backup.
I think it's important that we maintain good relationships with quarterbacks out there. You can't call one garbage. You can't call the other a nerd. Can't we be nice?
I mean, we could.
I mean, Kirk Cousins I'm being kind. Calling him a nerd in some places is like a half compliment. I mean, I could call him a lot of other things in this.
You like that?
What did that player call him Kurt Cobain the other day?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson.
That player.
Well, we still couldn't figure out who he was talking about.
That's true.
Is Justin Jefferson make an appearance in this?
Yeah, he does, actually.
Okay. So you would recommend it?
I've only watched one episode, but I'm going to keep watching.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. There's my recommendation. And it's the only thing to watch because the writers and the actors are all on strike now. So I might watch it twice. Who knows?
My show Alone is on tonight, of course.
Oh, you love this.
Yeah, 10 survivalists get dropped off of an island and with just a GoPro and an axe and see how many days they can survive. We're 2 episodes away from the finale, so I'm going to have to put that on hold.
What are they eating?
They kill rabbits, squirrels.
With a hatchet?
They have a bow and arrow. But then you see them skin the squirrel alive and put it in a stew. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Maggie, you would not. Oh, you hate squirrels, right? So
Yeah,
they
you
kill
would
a
like
lot
this,
of.
Maggie.
Yeah, you think I don't have a secret fetish that I want to kill the squirrels. I want to avoid them at all costs. I'm not trying to kill them and eat them. Not like, Hannibal Lecter. Sheesh.
It's not a Hannibal Lecter. It's called survivalism.
I'm not eating squirrels.
Hannibal Lecter actually.
Hannibal Lecter's eating humans. It's a little bit different than eating.
I know, but it's just as repulsive to me to eat a squirrel.
Is it?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So you're on a deserted island, squirrel person. You're like, which one?
Yeah, I'm like,
Makes you feel better. You set that up with the premise, the GoPro and a hatchet. I went to Hunger Games. I figured the finale was who was going to wind up winning.
Very much Hunger Games, but
I didn't think of squirrels. I got to be fair. I thought of each other.
I definitely want to cut that. Wait, I don't eat squirrels. I'm not Hannibal Lecter. What are you talking about?
I think everyone out there got it.
Maggie getting carted out with a mask over her face and full restraints.
Clarice, what's her name?
I have a squirrel with a little Chianti.
Hey, 855-212-4CBS. Well, enjoy that episode of Alone.
I will. Then I'm going to go to Kirk Cousins on quarterback.
Quarterback on Netflix.
What a night I got ahead of me. Yeah.
I know. It's a rockin' Thursday for you. We really need baseball to come back ASAP. Coming up, one Pro Bowler really prepared to hold out the season. We'll get to that in just a moment. Right after this CBS Sports Update with Coachability.
Sports Flash.
Guys, Jets have handed out the largest guaranteed money in franchise history, reportedly agreeing to a 4-year deal with Quinnen Williams at $96 million, $66 million in guaranteed money. Williams now only behind Aaron Donald, highest paid interior defensive lineman. Looks like Liv Golf wanted Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy to be the faces for golf, and possibility of owning teams of being captains while introduced by advisors after the merger would be complete with the PGA. That was quickly shot down, apparently, and McIlroy continues to have no interest in Liv.
If Liv Golf was the last place to play golf on earth, I would retire. That's how I feel about it. So seriously, yeah. I'd play the majors, but yeah, I'd be pretty comfortable. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the NCAA tournament continues to discuss the idea of moving from 68 teams up to as many as 90. Nothing seems to be imminent. Tournament expanded to 64 in 85 and 68 back in 2011. Looks like nothing Daniel Snyder can be a part of is easy, according to the Washington Post. Legal issues threaten to complicate the sale of the Commanders to the group led by Josh Harris at just over $6 billion. Issue apparently stems from some of the leaked emails that cost John Gruden his job with the Raiders. Doesn't sound like this deal is going to completely fall apart, but it could delay the proceedings. I'm Marco Belletti.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, hanging out with you on this Thursday. So I felt very fortunate last week when I was on vacation. Not because I didn't want to be with all of you amazing people, but because I missed the whole Wembanyama Britney Spears thing. And I was like, whew, I'm so glad I don't have to touch that. Meanwhile, you and Zach did a great job breaking down every single angle of the Britney Wembanyama thing, but I was like, I'm so glad I don't have to do that story.
What would scare you away about that story?
No, not scare me away. I was like, this is stupid. But
oh yeah,
now it's continued, so here I am.
Okay, what's the latest?
Britney Spears on her Instagram is not letting this go. Do I have to even recap the details on this? Britney Spears is running towards Victor Wembanyama in Las Vegas to try to get a photo, and his security doesn't even see her, but senses a woman or someone is trying to touch him or get his attention, and just like smacks her kind of across the in the face. And then there was a thought maybe he just hit her hand and she hit herself in the face, whatever. She got hit in the face by the security. We kind of thought that the story was gone away, but this is Britney on her Instagram today.
I heard on the news saying that I deserved to be smacked. Security was doing their job and protecting their client. I've been with the most famous people in the world in sync at one time. Girls would like literally throw themselves at them. On my way into the place, actually, I was knocked down by like 3 12-year-olds. My security not one time touched them or even came near them. And I did get an apology, but I've yet to receive a public apology.
Wait, from Wembanyama or from the security guard?
I think from the security guard.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is a security guard who makes probably, I don't know, a modest salary. Like, isn't she I know she's complicated, but isn't she a super rich international superstar?
Well, obviously, this is not about the money. This is about an apology. This is about a public apology that she wants, which is, here's my first thing. Was it really someone on the news saying that she deserved to be hit? What kind of newscaster in their right mind would opine on that? It's like, no, this was social media probably.
Yeah, it was like some radio show that she like talked about for a little bit, but we cut it out of the clip.
But that's not the news, you know?
Well,
Let's sometimes that kind of stuff, forgive me, I'm a little wonky about media.
I mean, I feel like
it's
maybe
not all the
TMZ
news.
has become the news, and so maybe like the news is kind of a loose term here.
Yeah, but I don't even think TMZ would say something like that. Anyway, that she deserves to be hit. I don't know if anyone ever thought that she deserves to be hit. But
I'm also a little mystified by one aspect of this.
Yeah.
The Spurs never apologized to Britney Spears publicly? Why not?
It seems like the easiest thing in the world.
Teams are very PR savvy. That seems like a layup. Like, where's the communications director say, oh, we're so sorry?
Well, I guess because she did get an apology at the table.
Oh, okay.
So someone did circle back around. We're assuming it's a security guard, said, I'm so sorry, but she wants a public apology and a public acknowledgement.
And I can also understand, like, when they were being investigated and the cops potentially had an open case, maybe you just don't say anything because you just don't want to admit any kind of guilt or culpability. But once the cops dropped the case and said, like, this is nothing, that's when you come out and just be the bigger person and say something. No, not the bigger person, just say something.
Can you also, Jim, we just stop for a second, and she's painting this picture of what's going on with NSYNC and these 12-year-old. I believe her when she said that these girls, maybe they weren't 12, who knows, just like projecting themselves on. I always wonder with people like that, what do you think's going to happen? Like, do you hurtle yourself into Justin Timberlake and he's like, woman of my dreams. Let's run away together. But I guess that's the point of fandom, right? People are just frenzy. They're not thinking right.
100%. I mean, it goes back to the Beatles, right?
Sure.
Like, just craziness.
Elvis.
But I've made fun of A-Rod's security guard for pushing me for so many times, but it is like, I do think there might be a culture in security guards or where they think they could just push people because of their private client. Like, no offense, but like they shouldn't be able to do that. Maybe there is an air of, hey, we're security guards, we could push anyone around. And maybe Britney, and I'm actually going to defend Britney here, maybe she's saying, you know what, you think I happen to be famous, but you're probably pushing people all over the place.
But he apologized to her.
Yeah, only because she was Britney Spears, maybe. It does seem like this is like kind of like this security guard, and I'm not blaming Wembanyama at all, but it does seem like the security guard thinks that he is protecting the president or something.
Well, Samter thinks that Wembanyama needs to apologize too. But he didn't do anything. He had his back turned to her.
It doesn't matter because nobody even knows the name of the security guard. No one cares if the security guard or if the Spurs apologize. This is about Wembanyama.
But didn't he apologize to some extent?
No, he said that, he explained the situation, but he never apologized. He just talked about it and said, someone came and tapped me, and then the next thing I knew was 3 hours later, someone said Britney Spears. And I was like, oh, okay. So he never apologized. He doesn't need to apologize. He doesn't owe Britney Spears an apology. He doesn't. But he should apologize because that will just quash this thing and put it to bed.
Oh, it should be. But is that apology even sincere? And then do you even want a sincere or a non-sincere apology?
I don't think at this point it matters. I think it's just a PR thing. He just needs to come out, whether he's with Britney or if he says something, he's like, listen, I'll learn in the future about what my security details should be doing, and I'll make sure that I instruct them in the future to just be more delicate with my fans. Even if he means it, even if he has any culpability,
Okay,
just
but you're just saying you just want a paper mache over the whole thing. Brittany wants a real apology here.
Yeah, but I mean, like give the apology, but it doesn't have to really be real.
Yeah, I don't think Brittany's going to be in the position where she can sort of say, "Oh, that's fake." I mean, if they even a fake, I agree with Mike. I think a fake apology would do the trick here. Unfortunately. You mean, what do you think? Like he needs to cry on camera? The kid's 19.
I'll tell you what this is all going to lead to. So just when it happens, you can just remember that your friend Maggie told you this on whatever day it is, July 13th. At some point, the two of them are going to appear in some kind of a promotional ad campaign of some sort. They will both end up making money off of this. I promise you that. I would even say if this keeps going on, it could be a Super Bowl commercial. I don't know. I haven't really worked out the details of when they're going to appear with each other. They will appear with each other. It will be paid. They will both get paid and get some fame off of this. And it would be smart for Wembanyama to kind of like lean in if they can find a funny way to do it. It'd probably be good, but all the writers are on strike right now, so I don't know if anyone can actually thread this needle.
Stu and I will take care of it.
Yeah, you guys get on that script.
You know, I see what you're saying, but I feel like Britney Spears is closer to opening a Chuck E. Cheese than doing a Super Bowl commercial. Like it does not seem. It does not seem like she has a smart business team that is making these great. You know, it's not Katy Perry and it's not Taylor Swift. This is clearly based on everything I've seen in the story. A few cuts below. We're not exactly dealing with the A team in the Britney Spears case.
You know, I can't fight you there. I don't know who's at the wheel. Who's at the wheel here for Britney Enterprises, but. I'm telling you, someone smart is going to get a hold of this because she's still got juice, and they're going to make money off of it.
I tell you, Victor Wembanyama, when we're 15 games, or no, let's say 35 games in the season, and everyone's like, oh, my God, this guy can't play. He's the French Nick Claxton. I think that is when his real problems are going to start, and he's gonna wish he had the Britney Spears controversy because his disappointment on the court is the upcoming story of the year. I'm telling you right now. When bust Yama?
You had the best headline yet.
What's that?
When bust Yama.
No, I'm sick of. Well, I like the French windmill.
French windmill is very good.
But I like the French Nick Claxton so much, and nobody outside of Brooklyn who knows who Nick Claxton is.
It's not landing.
They look identical. But it'll land. At some point, they're going to play each other this year, and you're going to see it. America's going to see it. Brittany's going to see it.
I liked mine, Britney Spurs.
That's pretty good.
What are you guys working for the New York Post? Or you're working for the Maggie and Perloff show. You're just giving them gems here. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Who is the most influential person in sports right now? We'll answer that question next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The PGA Tour could not look worse. They look like the most hypocritical losers possible. And now they look like fools because 15 months later, they're now taking all of that money that they called dirty. You can't spin faster on this.
It is impressive. This guy should run my company. I mean, he is.
Run for office.
He's got, yeah, I was about to say, has Jay Monahan thought about stepping down and running for president? Because he's got all of the skills. Just to be able to turn that fast, that's a skill. To be that empty.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah, we are. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, hanging out with you on this Thursday. Now, we've been having our great debate series has been going on all summer long. This week, we're doing our top 5 greatest teams of the last 30 years, and we're going sport by sport. So today, we did NBA. Stu, can we hit the music just because I love the music? Thank you.
The Great Debate Series. Best teams of the last 30 years.
Okay, I'm going to quickly run through them before we introduce our guest here who's with us in studio. So number 5 on the list in terms of top 5 greatest NBA teams of the last 30 years. Number 5, the 04-05 San Antonio Spurs. This was the peak of the Big Three. Only once, Tim Duncan only played 66 games that year and still was first team All-NBA, dealt with a ankle sprain a little bit, but this was the peak of the peak. Number 4 on the list, the 2012-2013 Miami Heat. This is the Heatles' peak prime. This is when they won 27 straight in the middle of the season. They beat San Antonio in 7 games to win their second title. Number 3 on the list, 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers. This is right in the middle of the three-peat. They only lost 1 game that entire playoffs. It set a record at the time. Beat Perloff 76ers in the final.
Barely. I mean, the Sixers got a game off of Maggie.
Yeah, in overtime. Number 2 on the list, the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors. That's the first year with Kevin Durant, a year after the 73-9 team that lost to the Cavaliers. This was Durant, Curry, chef's kiss. Clay was averaging even 22 games that year. They also only lost 1 game in the entire playoffs. And number 1 on the list, greatest teams last 30 years, the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. This was the first full season after Jordan returned, the first championship of the second three-peat, if you will. And that is the list.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback that we should have all Bulls teams on there. Like, there are a lot of people who are saying that a lot of these Bulls teams could beat the other teams. It's not the spirit of the list here. No. And I'm not sure that's necessarily true. It's probably true, but there are, those 0-1 Lakers would have given the Bulls a run.
I think so. Okay, so it is list season, as you know, and because one of our dear, dear friends is now the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated. I mean, boy, Stephen Cannella, we knew you, and you were simply the executive editor. You guys have a new list out. It's the Power List, 50 most influential figures in sports, and this really caught our eye. But first and foremost, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to see you both. I feel like we had this conversation probably in the cafeteria at 1271 6th Avenue at one point, but great to be here.
Yes, a lot of people know this, some don't. Perloff and I first met at Sports Illustrated, became friends there, worked there together for 8 years, and now have teamed up together for this nationally syndicated radio show. But this list was amazing. So how'd you guys get started on this one?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this for months, going back to late last year. And, lists, we all love lists. You guys are doing them this year. It's a great topic for conversation, a great way to spark debate. And, we wanted to dive into, we started with the idea of influence. What does influence mean in sports in 2023? And, we all know the most powerful people in sports. They're the LeBrons, the Patrick Mahomeses, the people like that. They're on this list. But we wanted to dive into sort of the people behind the curtain that the average sports fan doesn't really realize is sort of shaping that whole world that they're looking at day in and day out.
So the Saudis.
No, actually, we're all aware of the Saudis now. But,
yeah, that's true. They're no longer behind the curtain.
The Saudis got a little more prominent as we were working on this list over the last few months.
Creeping off the list as they bought a golf tour.
I'm looking through the magazine, and I can tell already where there are certain points you look at that name and say, "Oh no, you did not go with him." Like, the certain names make you mad, including a guy who's an executive who gets a full page here named Roger Goodell. Like, basically, it's funny that you see these powerful people. Dana White, a lot of them are controversial.
Yeah.
A lot of people have issues with a lot of the people, a lot of hockey fans have issues with Gary Bettman. You go down the list, these are influential people, but they're not without controversy.
No, and it was kind of an internal joke. We have Goodell separated, and then we group the others as the other commissions. And it sounds like we're selling them short, and we're not. That's more a commentary on what the NFL represents, not just in sports, but in American culture right now. And I don't care who you are, how well you run any other league, you're never going to match the NFL. But Bettman's a great example. Hockey fans hate that guy.
Yeah.
But he's the longest-serving commissioner of any of the major sports ever at this point. And there's no denying that he's taken the NHL places that when he took that job 30-plus years ago, no one ever thought that league would be. So,
did you discuss owners versus commissioners in the sense that some people say Jerry Jones secretly runs the NFL? Was that a topic?
Yeah, we definitely did. And one reason we shied away from, we probably shied away from some owners. Maybe we were a little too gun shy on the owners, and that it's hard to choose one over the other. Like Jerry Jones, sure. Bob Kraft, maybe.
Yep.
We're not in those rooms. We don't know who's the real puppet master in the NFL. One of them is. Maybe both of them are. So I think when you look at the commissioners, everyone says this in every sport. The commissioners, they say it. They work for the owners. They're the bosses. They're sort of the amalgamation of those ownership and then those powerful people too.
Kind of seems to me like Dan Snyder's got them all by the what.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. And you never, especially with owners, that power list rises and falls week to week depending on who's got the real currency.
So Stephen Cannella is here. He's the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated, longtime friend. The cover is fantastic, really cool with Jake Paul, who just proposed to Nina Agdal. I saw that in Switzerland or Lake Como in Italy, I guess. cool work if you can get it.
Not afraid to take a big swing.
That guy doing something big for publicity? No. I love that Deion Sanders is on this list because I'm wondering if Deion wasn't coaching now, because this is under the category of like icons and leaders.
Yeah.
But if Deion wasn't, coaching Colorado right now or wasn't at Jackson State, would he have been on this list?
Probably not. I mean, I think Deion's influence and his place in the sports firmament over the last couple of years, especially with what he did at Jackson State, has really grown beyond the sort of prime time and media personality that he had going before. And I think, we're going to see what his impact is on big time college football this year, but there's no denying the impact he had on the HBCU scene and Jackson State specifically. So we'll see if he's on this list next year, and we'll see if the Buffs go 1-10 or 10-1.
Are they bowl games this year for the Buffs? Who knows?
I saw you had Kobe on the list, who is obviously passed, and there was a wonderful essay by Greg Bishop, our buddy Greg Bishop, on how incredibly influential he still is. But obviously that is quite controversial going with someone who passed away.
Yeah, it's we had a lot of conversation about that, and I got to say, I kind of put my foot down. I really Greg had a great idea, and he wrote a beautiful piece. You're absolutely right. But it's just the way, not just in sports, Greg gets into outside of sports too. Long time ago in the magazine, this is going back way back, we did a funny chart in the front of the book, and it was the Michael Jordan of blank. And it was all the places in culture, like somebody out there had been referred to as the Michael Jordan of brain surgery, the Michael Jordan.
the LeBron James of foot doctor.
Exactly. Yeah. And Kobe's almost getting to that place now in that so many people inside and outside of sports, definitely way beyond just basketball, see him as this motivating factor, this figure of inspiration. He had his faults, he had his warts. I don't think anybody shies away from that. But sort of what he was able to do in his life and the legacy he created that I think a lot of people have picked up since he passed, I don't think there's any denying he's one of the most influential people in sports. And you add on to that, I think the growth we're seeing in interest in the WNBA, women's basketball in general. Let's not forget, Kobe was way ahead. He was on the WNBA before it was cool to be on the WNBA. Yeah. And I think his championing of women's sports in particular is really pretty special.
He was also an early kind of crossover sports entertainment, won the Oscar famously. Now that's a thing with all these guys. Exactly. I'm sure you hit that in your list.
Everybody wants the we got a EGOT with
Well, you're nobody unless you have a documentary. Exactly. Clearly. Okay, so it's Maggie and Perloff. Stephen Cannella is the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated. Their new list is called The Power List: 50 Most Influential Figures in Sports. And it's out today?
Out today. It's on SI.com and on newsstands today.
Go check it out. All right, we got to get you to weigh in on our list. Now, You're here to talk about the 50 most influential figures in sports, but for people who might not know if they're listening, Cannella, huge baseball guy, massive baseball guy. You took one look at our list, top 5 greatest MLB teams the last 30 years. You're like, you left a huge team off. What did we get wrong? Oh, let me say the list first. Number 5 was the 2017 Astros. Yes, the cheating Astros we put on the list. Yeah. Number 4, the 95 Braves. Number 3, the 2004 Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Cubs. And number 1 was the 1998 Yankees. So what did we miss?
I can see why you left them off because they did not win a championship. The 2001 Mariners were one of the best teams that we've ever seen. And if you subscribe to the Billy Bean, the playoffs are a crapshoot. That shouldn't matter. That was a great team over 162 games matched. Tied the 06 or 08 Cubs for the all-time wins record. I think they led all of baseball in runs scored and the fewest runs allowed, which is almost impossible to do. They won some crazy percentage of their games by more than 4 runs. Ichiro's debut year. And they did all this without Griffey, who was going to be, he left the year before, he was going to be the centerpiece of that franchise. That was a great team.
But it's funny. They weren't really loaded with household names. No. Like the 97, Maggie would say, whoa, the 97 Mariners, now that is, on paper, a great team.
Yeah.
Boy, the 01 was really Ichiro and a bunch of not quite role players.
Edgar Martinez was there. Yeah. Jay Buhner was still there, I think. But that pitching staff, Freddie Garcia. Jamie Moyer, I think.
He was only 50 then, which is funny.
But baseball is a great sum of the parts sport, and you're right. 1 or 2 stars and a bunch of really good veterans can get you an all-time team.
So we thought about this, and we really debated because for football, spoiler, our number 1 team was the 07 Patriots, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl. So it didn't have to be. You didn't have to win necessarily to make this list. So we went to Jeff Nelson, who was a relief pitcher on that team and the 98 Yankees.
Ooh.
And he said Mariners don't deserve to be on the list.
Really?
And he played on the team. He said, we didn't deserve it because we didn't win. Now, that just is athlete mentality, fell short of the goal. But he said we were cool, so we felt okay about it.
I guess he could have done something about that back in the day. He could have made sure
Come on,
the Mariners
Jeff.
were on that
Yeah.
team.
What do you think about our other list? Anything else stick out to you?
The one that jumped out was, I'm looking at your college football list.
Yeah, we didn't put on 2020 Alabama.
I was just going to say 2020 Bama, and if I remember right, 09 Bama was a pretty special team too, right? That was Saban's first title with them, I think.
Could be, right? It was Mark Ingram,
Ingram's
I think, won the Heisman. So who do you knock off, though? Because that's the thing. We had about 9 perfect teams that were unbelievable in college football.
Yeah, we had 2018 Clemson was 5, 4 was 2019 LSU, 3 2004 USC, 2 was the 2001 Hurricanes, and 1 was the 95 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Tough one.
Who do you knock off? Jeez.
It's impossible. Can't be done.
Yeah, I got to admit, I don't remember that. Who was on that 95 Nebraska team?
It was
Ahmad Green and Lawrence Phillips.
It was Lawrence Phillips, Tommy Frazier, who was a great college quarterback who never had a pro.
All right, we can't knock them off.
They rolled everybody.
Have me on next week. I'll tell you who to knock off.
So tomorrow we're doing college basketball.
Yeah.
That's how we're finishing
off
out
the top
week.
of your head, who's the college basketball team you remember?
Oh, gosh. Last 30 years?
Let's not spoil it for everyone.
No, I'm just wondering because we.
I instantly thought of Duke and Laettner, but that's outside of 30 years, right?
Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny? Well, all these sports, there were more dynasties when we were kids. We're younger because the salary cap came in the NFL in '94. College basketball, the one and done came in, so it was a little easier for the '80s. It's tougher.
That's tough. I got to say, college basketball is a blind spot for me, especially in these recent years when it's harder to build those affinities with those teams. I mean, that Duke team that was kind of Krzyzewski's first team of one and done guys. What was that? I want to say that was 2018, 2019.
Oh yeah,
that was a good team.
We were thinking of a different Duke team. You're gonna have to tune in tomorrow to see who made the top 5 list.
I have a Sports Illustrated question. When going back, you probably were an SI fan even before you got there. Which sports used to get the cover all the time that you would not put on the cover now? Like has a sport that you put on the cover of SI just changed dramatically through the years?
Like what type of what sport?
I remember
comes from?
There used to be horses and
going back to the 50s and 60s, there were drawings of owls and dogs and things like that. We haven't done one of those in a while.
Throwback.
Yeah, I mean it's a little different now that we're a monthly magazine, so the cover needs to be something a little bit different. But even that aside, if you look back at those magazines from some of the 80s and early 90s, there was a lot of track and field on there, a lot of tennis. A lot of Olympic sports in general, a lot of golf, which I love. But those sports rise and fall through the generations. And I think track and field the Olympics in general probably had a higher place in the sports culture than it does right now. So it'll be a little harder to. But they would put a track meet from the middle of June in a non-Olympic year on the cover sometimes.
Wow. And also boxing. I mean, so many Muhammad Ali covers. He's been on the cover more than any person in the history of the magazine. But now Jake Paul gets the cover.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what sport
when you put it that way. It seems like a bad lineage.
I didn't mean to make that transition. I'm the biggest Kool-Aid drinker of SI that there is, but the fascination with this guy and his, from YouTube star to he's, fancies himself a legitimate boxer. Mm-hmm. What do you think the fascination is with him?
Yeah, I mean, here's why we arrived with Jake Paul on this cover and as part of this power list. It's a great shot.
Yeah.
Why he's on this power list, and Chris Mannix, who wrote a great story and spent a lot of time with Jake down in Puerto Rico a few months ago. What we talked about is let's get past this. Does he deserve to be in the ring? Is he a boxer? I think, and even Mannix, who knows more about boxing than I'll ever know, he agrees that Jake Paul is not the new Mike Tyson, but he's earned his place to be in the ring. He's earned his right to be in the ring. And what I wanted to talk about was let's talk about a guy who, like you said, he had this massive following on YouTube. He gets into boxing, and people think, oh, this is a lark, this is a gimmick. He took this massive audience, this massive influence in like the social media sense that we think of the word influence, and he's doing something with it. It's not just that he's fighting. It's not just that he's getting some big paydays. He's looking to unionize fighters. He's trying to change the way combat sports are actually. He's trying to change business at a baseline level. He's turned himself into a legit athlete. I think people can debate that, but he's more athletic than the three of us. That's for sure.
Low bar.
And he's also, we didn't get into this a ton in the story, but it's in there, and this is something he's doing. He's this Better Media, this sports media company that he's starting up that's built around that crossover between sports betting, sports social content. The Cavender twins are part of his stable now. I think we're going to be hearing a lot about Better Media in the next year or two.
So there's many things that SI is famous for. Swimsuit issue, of course, the covers, all that stuff. But one of the things that I always loved in the magazine is the sign of the apocalypse. Is there a bigger one than Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg going to fight each other?
Probably not.
I don't think there is.
We might have to bring back that. We haven't done that in the magazine in a while. We might have to bring it back just for that.
You should retire it on that.
Well, I thought Wembanyama and Britney Spears was in that realm too.
You know what? You're right. She still wants a public apology.
Yeah, but you're right. The Zuckerberg in the Octagon is pretty good, but there's a few to pick from because we actually are getting closer to the apocalypse.
Is there a way that two people can both lose the same fight?
We're hoping. Stephen Cannella is the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated. Check it out now. The Power List: 50 most influential figures in sports. This is great. We get to see you. Love it, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Same to you guys. You're doing a great job here.
Yeah, great to see you, bud.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, more Maggie and Perloff coming up in just a little bit, including a bad look for the Bronx Bombers. We'll get to that in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, you on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. A lot of fun to have Steve Cannella, Editor-in-Chief of Sports Illustrated, talking about the SI Power List. Of course, an old friend. I thought he was pretty nice about our list. He did not like that the 01 Mariners were not on the baseball list. I think if you look at all our lists for the great debates, putting non-champions on there really bugs people, which it should. I get it. But, I mean, the 07 Patriots were just that team. In fact, that we did basketball today.
Yep.
And there was a couple teams that I was like, ooh, should we try and get the 73-win Warriors? And then also the Blazers team that lost to Michael Jordan was like an amazing team.
That was an incredible team. Yeah. But here's the thing. It's like the 73-win Warriors, I think, would have been on the list had Kevin Durant not come the next year, because then they became such a better version of an already great team.
Yes and no.
What's the no part?
I mean, I think, first of all, Curry's knee was hurt in that playoffs. They probably would have stormed through that finals normally. They went up 3-1. I think when Durant, I mean, there's one basketball. So Durant steps up and is one of the stars of the team. Yeah. Curry and Klay step back a little bit.
Well, they both, as I went back and looked through the numbers, obviously Durant was the finals MVP. And through the playoffs, though, both Durant and Curry were averaging like 28 points per game in those playoffs, and Klay was averaging like 22. I mean, listen, and this is where the Draymond Green lore becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, because Draymond would average like 10 points. He didn't need the ball, and it was impacting them so much defensively. So
yeah, I mean, sometimes I think, though, the less talented team can be a greater team. I know that sounds really silly, but I think there's so many examples where we look at it, it's like, wow, that team didn't have as much talent, but they won 20 more games. The Spurs with an old Tim Duncan somehow just killed everybody. Sometimes things go together. Of course, as a non-talented athlete, I always that's where I think my argument's coming from. You don't need to be good to be good.
So, I'm sorry. I got distracted by the chat for a second. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio if you want to watch the show. Our old pal Stephen Cannella is here, as Perloff just said. He's editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated. Somehow that got the folks in our chat talking about old magazines that people used to like.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Penthouse, Hustler. Guys, like, you can't go from SI to Penthouse, you know? SI
wow, the articles were good.
I know, Playboy, right? Buying it for the articles.
Famously, Norman Mailer wrote for Playboy, so we're reading for Norman Mailer.
Of course. I think just as funny, like, that's what people envision, and that's what they invoke. Can you imagine a kid now? It's like, yeah, it's a photograph. People are like, what?
What's that?
Yeah, what's that? This image doesn't move. Anyway, I got a little distracted there. So let's move on from the list for a moment. You're welcome to weigh in. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I got to be honest, sometimes Yankee fans embarrass themselves. And it's the crown jewel franchise, along with the Cowboys, in this country, the New York Yankees, right? You don't have to live in New York or be in New York to be a Yankee fan. They're all over the country and all over the world. And The team was the gold standard for so long. It has so many fans. Many things are sacred about the Yankees, and I get it. Monument Park, things like that. The uniform really isn't, guys. It really isn't. It's just clothes. And I know the pinstripes have become this thing, but the Yankees got $25 million to put an insurance company to have a patch right on the sleeve. Now, newsflash, a couple years ago, Nike put a swoosh on. So this is not the first time your beloved uniform has been defiled, okay? Nike put the swoosh on, and now it's an insurance company. And Yankee fans are losing it like somehow you just put a mustache on the Mona Lisa. You didn't. This is a baseball uniform, Perloff, and it's the New York Yankees, a franchise defined by, yes, legacy and great players, and defined by money, synonymous with money. Who would ever think in their right mind they wouldn't want more money? Of course they do. They're the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. But I'm wondering, is this the beginning of the end? Is the Yankees still a thing necessarily? Like, are we starting to see, are they coming back to the pack?
Just like everyone else.
I mean, now that they're sort of selling out like other teams do, next thing you know, they're going to have facial hair. I don't know. I feel like I don't think the Yankees are what they were. I don't even think that's a hot take. I mean, clearly, remember, ESPN used to do Yankees Red Sox was the premier thing, and now it's nothing. So I wonder if the Yankees are sort of coming back to earth. Is possible? They had Judge last year, but generally, are we sure that they are the driver in the sport that they used to be?
Well, I'll offer this to you. If it had been a slugger on the Texas Rangers that was going for the American League record of 62 home runs, would they have been breaking into college football games on a Saturday to show the at-bats? I don't think so.
Well, they certainly did for the Cardinals and Cubs. I mean, with Sosa and McGuire.
Yeah, but that was 98. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean.
We're talking about now, have the Yankees lost their luster? And I'm saying if it was just another player on another team that wasn't the Yankees or maybe the Dodgers.
That was going for 65 homers?
Going for 62. To break the record. Do you think they would have cut into college football games, which is what ESPN was doing when Judge was chasing the record?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, let's put it this way. Do you agree with me that maybe the Yankees lore is not what it was 15 years ago?
Yeah, because they haven't been winning. I mean, that's part of it. You got to keep winning. It's just like the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys have the same type of allure that they
totally
did.
Disagree with that.
You think they're
bigger
getting
than ever.
Bigger? No.
Oh, yeah, I think they had the 5 highest rated football games last year in the whole league.
But that's just because viewership of the NFL as in general is going up.
No, but they beat all the other teams in the NFL.
But they get the best window too. That 4 o'clock, that late window on Sunday is always the highest rated.
No, regardless, there's a bunch of other teams in that window, and then the Cowboys get way more viewers than them. Cowboys are still super hot. The Yankees they're definitely the most popular team. I'm not going to argue on that. But I just feel like their grip on baseball has been, I mean, I hate to say it, it's been slow. It feels like it's slowly going down since George Steinbrenner died. And like this patch on their arms, maybe they're becoming a normal franchise. Is that possible?
No.
After.
No.
Couldn't even help himself, yes?
No, first of all, how insulting. It sounds like Rob Manfred calling the World Series trophy a piece of tin. The Yankees jersey is just a piece of clothes? Like, what do you... Maggie, come on.
It's clothes.
The pinstripes are iconic. They're synonymous with baseball. It's one of the only jerseys in all of sports that doesn't have names on the back. There's something about the jersey that's more than just the jersey, right? So it's more than just clothes. The pinstripes is more than that. It has symbolism. There's an iconic, historic nature to it.
It's a glorified logo.
It hasn't changed. Like, we see all these old uniforms, the old Pirates uniforms and the old Red Sox, and all uniforms have changed 1,000 times on 1,000 different teams. The pinstripes have been the same since Babe Ruth.
Okay.
And
hold on, though.
To today.
Hold on. I can also get a Yankee hat in Red Sox colors, in green, in pink. Sometimes that's to raise money. And I can get a Yankee hat in every color of the rainbow. It's not like it's so sacred. It's still the logo, and yes, I get the pinstripes, but I can buy any Yankee hat in literally any color. They sold out long ago.
Well, no, hold on. That's like the sales to the fans, right? That's going to, like, Fanatics or Lids or whatever. Outside of maybe, breast cancer awareness month or something, the Yankees aren't wearing different colored hats.
Well, they do for 9/11, but yeah, that's another fundraiser.
For sure. Outside of that, they're not wearing pink hats or green hats or Red Sox colored hats. They're wearing the blue and the white. They're wearing the pinstripes. They got the gray away uniforms. The uniform means something. And you think about every single team, Cowboys, it doesn't matter. That's AT&T is the Cowboys stadium. Every single team, no matter how much money they're making, has naming rights for their stadium. The Yankees don't. So you say, the Yankees
don't right now.
Don't right now, and they never have.
Okay,
in
but
their
they
150-year history, they never have.
You don't think that this is the appetizer for the stadium naming rights? This is the gateway drug for that.
You're probably right, which is why people are so pissed, because the Yankees, for years, you're right, money was always the thing for the Yankees. It's New York. It's the financial capital of the world. It's the Yankees.
Spending the most. Yeah.
Yes, it's all of that. But with that, they stayed true to the no names on the jersey. They stayed true to Yankee Stadium. They stayed true to the advertisement stuff. Putting in Nike swoosh, which was on every other team's jersey except for the Yankees, was a big deal. So the fact that they're selling out now and putting on, and not just like a cool sponsor, Star Insurance, some like
I wasn't going to give them the pop,
company?
but you just did.
Whatever. Everyone's going to see it in every picture on Twitter and on social media and in every game that the Yankees play, so it doesn't matter if we say it or not.
But by the way, there was one uniform change you guys are forgetting about. In '98, they switched from polyester blend to a breathable cotton for this rogue travel secretary named George Costanza.
It was funny because our intern Brooke didn't laugh at all, and I was just like,
yeah, she was not alive for that.
She also can't hear when my mic is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have, though.
Wet cotton in the uniform shrank the next day. That was really great.
It was good.
But
the poly cotton blend.
By the way, our guy Buster Olney said the Yankees are front runners to get Shohei if he comes to New York. Shohei Ohtani is a Yankee, then I'm back on the Yankee bandwagon. And Star is getting, if that happens, and Star got the bargain of the year by getting $25 million, because the Yankees will be full on back.
Yeah, they really are the front runner, according to Buster.
Oh yeah, he sent out a very specific message from someone in the Yankees front office saying, "Hey, we want Shohei."
But I thought Shohei wanted to win.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Marco.
Coming from the Mets fan.
Listen, I got nothing else. I'm shooting from the bunker. Season's over. Do you notice the Mets not the front runner? Yeah.
Can we just talk about I'm so sorry, this sidetrack. The greatest Seinfeld baseball clip of all time is when George Costanza is showing Bernie Williams and Derek Jeter how to hit because he has abstained from sex and has become a genius.
Yeah.
So he's like, you guys are doing some things wrong with your swing. And they go, we won the World Series last year. And he goes, in 6 games.
Yeah, the greatest. The greatest.
Yeah.
Marco, what do you think? Yankees lost their sizzle a little bit, just like everyone else, now that they got the patch on. And Marco's, by the way, wearing a Yankee hat.
Yeah, I don't care. Am I the only Yankee fan? If you put the name on the back, I'd have a problem with it, because then you're messing with tradition. You sell a patch for $25 million that nobody cares about, nobody sees. What do I care?
Yeah.
As long as you're putting that money back into the team, it's a problem if you're going to have AAA players and you're going to have the lowest payroll in the game. Then I have an issue because you're making money and you're not spending it. Everything else, to me, that's fair game. I don't have to like it. And when Yankee Stadium, brought to you by whatever bank, is going to come at some point, I don't have to say it. I don't have to like it. But I get it. I mean, it's money is money.
The only thing is if the team continues not to win, it's not because they're not spending money, though. That's not generally the problem. The problem is that they don't have anyone who can play the outfield.
Well, they don't spend money in the right places.
Yes.
That's part of it. And they're not what they used to be. That whole Death Star, Evil Empire stuff, that used to be because they blew everybody out of the water with it. Now they're just competitive.
Yeah.
That's a difference.
But it's like, yes, but it wasn't so long ago that they paid the highest contract ever for a pitcher in Garrett Cole in free agency. They took on the Stanton contract, no questions asked. And they're the only, who are they even bidding against with the Stanton contract? They're bidding against themselves.
But that's the Cashman stuff that it's been a little bit annoying for some of the Yankee fans. They're willing to take the trade for a big contract because they get 15% off because the Marlins will play part of it. So it's weird. Like the Yankees are like, well, we'll make a big purchase, but not the biggest. You're going to give us a coupon? Then okay. That wasn't the case 20 years ago.
But Garrett Cole they signed. They ponied up for Judge when the Giants got close. I mean, listen.
But you're right, but that's what they give you, the re-sign. The re-sign was automatic in Yankee years.
Right.
Now.
Well, not with Cano.
Well, bottom line, though, they're
That's
not
part of this last 10 years.
No, I get it.
How long were they the number one spending team in baseball? For years and years.
Had to be a 25-year clip. Easy.
And then the Dodgers caught up the Padres.
But yeah, right. So now they're not. So there's no arguing about it.
Here's the real criticism I think you can give the Yankees, which is they have had $200 million or so payroll, and it's been that way for a decade.
Right.
It's like, we spent $200 million. Like, well, you were in 2012, and now it's 2023, and you're still spending $200 million. I know Brian Cashman is not defensible right now because this team he put together is just not good, and he's the one who should have to wear this. But I do kind of understand what he's saying, which is, and Hal Steinbrenner, when they say you shouldn't need to spend $250 million to build a winner.
Correct.
I get that. I think that's fair, by the way.
That is 100% fair. Here's the other part of that, though. If you were smart enough, you don't have to spend $250.
Yeah.
You're not.
Right.
So what you do have is the ability to spend $350 million. You want to win or you don't want to win.
Yeah.
You're obviously not smart enough.
No.
So you're either going to spend the money or you're not, and they're not.
Well, when's the last great trade they made? Getting Chapman back?
Well, what if they...
Is that even a trade, actually?
Well, they traded him away, and then they re-signed him.
They re-signed him, though.
Well, why did they spend on Shohei, then? To just put out $700 million and what?
They can. If the only thing is, does Shohei want to play on the East Coast?
Well,
which he turned him down the first time.
Yeah.
Apparently, the
that
Yankees
was
wanted it
several years ago. Though.
Right.
So maybe, there's a chance to go to number one. But are they even top three right now? I mean, I feel
payroll?
Well, the Mets are one. I think the Dodgers are still two,
I think
right?
it's Mets, Dodgers, and then it's the Yankees. I think they're still.
Oh, they are top three. I thought the Padres might have passed them.
I don't know. They're definitely top five. We know that for sure.
It's just insane to me that the Yankees need to put on an insurance patch and they're getting outspent by the Padres.
And you know what? He's right, though. Perloff's right. I mean, again, when you get a little extra money or whatever it is, the Yankees always bring in more money than everybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
And when they had been number one for so long, and it coincided with winning for the last. I mean, look, they spent a lot of money in the 80s and they won nothing.
Right.
So it is partly, it's also what you do. But when you're at the top and you were there for a long time and you win, and then all of a sudden everybody catches you and you go, well, we're still spending the same amount and you're not winning and everyone caught behind you. So at some point, you're either going to pony up or you're just going to walk away and say, you know what, playoffs are good enough. And right now it feels like it used to be World Series or bust.
Yeah.
Now it's playoffs are good enough.
I know, but the game has also changed. Like, again, I find myself defending Brian Cashman here, but it has changed. The rules have changed to be a bit more punitive for the high-spending teams. Like, I do kind of get it. Things aren't the same as they were in '98. It's just not the same. It's not the same sport.
And by the way, as much as the Yankees spend, they're still going to be the team that performs better with the lower payroll in New York City, because there's one team. I love ribbing Maggie about the Mets. But I have the Mets down. Any chance? That made no sense, but you got where I was going.
Listen, they won 6 in a row right before the
By the way, I looked at Spotrac. It's Mets 1, Yankees 2, Padres 3 this year. Remember, the Dodgers are a little bit down this year for some reason.
And the Red Sox go up and down,
Yeah.
and Texas Rangers go up and down, and San Francisco goes up and down.
What does that $350 million get you for your Mets there, Meg?
7.5 games out of the wild card. Still a lot of baseball left, guys. A lot of baseball left.
Not that much.
What's that?
Not that much.
Well, let's see. And okie dokie.
Trade deadline's almost here.
Really hoping Sean Casey works out for you guys. The new hitting coach has been doing demonstrations on MLB Network, so he said he's basically been a coach. This is a real Jeff Saturday move for you guys. So good luck.
Sean Casey, the mayor, is the best. He's the nicest guy in the whole sport. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. Those nice guys. You know what they say about him. No, it's fine. He's going to unlock everybody.
Brought to you by Star Insurance.
855-212. Yeah, by the way, if they would like to come aboard, we're all in favor of the patch. 855-212-4227. All right, lots to do coming up, including, have yet to get to this today, and we have to do it before the show is over because we could have a major holdout happening. Alert everybody. It's almost here. Get to that after this CBS Sports Update with Coachability.
Sports Flash.
All right, guys. Jets and Quentin Williams have reportedly agreed to a 4-year deal, $96 million, $66 million in guaranteed money. Puts Williams behind only Aaron Donald for the most money per year for an interior defensive lineman at $24 million. Donald, of course, makes $31.7 million. If Live Golf was last place to play golf on earth, I would retire. Those are the words of Rory McIlroy, as McIlroy went on to say he'd play the majors, but that's it. This comes on the heels of a report that the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund wanted McIlroy and Tiger Woods to partially own and captain teams once the merger went through with PGA and Live Golf. PGA quickly rejected that idea, although McIlroy doesn't have any ill will, it seems, though, towards the PGA for the merger.
I think they were trying to do what was, they were trying to do what was right for the tour, which in turn means what's right for the players on that tour. So I don't feel they were, I think I read a quote, they were negotiating their survival.
Meanwhile, nothing is imminent for the NCAA tournament to expand. However, the subject continues to be discussed. Could move the tournament currently at 68 teams up to as many as 90 teams, but this does continue to just be in the discussion phase. I'm Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM, Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 25 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff hanging out. So today we did our top 5 greatest NBA teams of the last 30 years, part of our great debate series. Tomorrow we're going to finish out the week with college basketball. Oh boy. It's going to be a good one. Last 30 years. A little Fab Five maybe?
They get under the wire?
A little Duke maybe? A little Kentucky? Some really good Kansas teams in there.
Gonzaga.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Gonzaga.
Well, you can't be. No. Great teams haven't won, but.
Yeah, this is going to be. Are we going to look at a team that did not win a title? That's tough.
Listen, I think we should because it's the NCAA tournament, which is the biggest crapshoot of any postseason of any sport. That's why we love the tournament. But you can be a great team and you can lose in the second round to a random team.
I think one error you can
ask Calipari.
Yeah, you can make with exactly the Calipari situation. You could have a team with 7 future NBA All-Stars, but they're all 18 years old, and of course they're not going to win the NCAA title. Is that a great team just because they went on to win 16 NBA titles combined? I don't think so.
Tune in tomorrow. Okay, so just quickly, our list from today, if you're just getting into the show right now, number 5 on the list was the 04-05 Spurs. Number 4 on the list was the 2012-2013 Miami Heatles. Number 3 on the list, the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers, right in the middle of the three-peat. Number 2 on the list was the 2016-2017 Warriors. It's the first year of Durant. And number 1, the 95-96 Chicago Bulls, the first of the second three-peat.
Yeah,
Got all that?
That sounds funny when you put it that way.
I don't know how else to describe it. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Well, today's shot of the day comes from earlier when we found out a little more about our coworker, Stu Kovacs.
The mystery of Stu deepens and deepens.
This guy.
It's like a river. It's way deeper than it seems over there.
And dangerous.
Not a lot of reading going on over there.
Or movie watching.
No.
The big question, what is Stu watching? We will never know.
I think you just cut that question off. What is Stu? What is he?
I know.
Stu Kovacs, man of mystery.
It's like Scooby-Doo.
I know. What do we do with this guy?
I don't know. We just keep trying to unpeel layers of the onion, and someday we'll get to the heart of what really Stu is. Samper, don't be jealous of Stu's wild life. I mean, it's okay
what
if you haven't seen.
To mention is that he was the guy on the back of the screen.
He saw it. You know, I'm going to be honest. It was a funny story. It was a sad story. Stu watched somebody get robbed, basically right in front of him.
Yeah.
Yes, a motorbike came up, slapped a phone out of a woman's hand, and then someone on the back of the bike scooped up the phone, and they both, scurried off in a cloud of smoke. Stu, why didn't you stop him?
I was, I know I should have, right? I was on the other corner. Like, I was on the corner as I witnessed this. It was like kind of like across the street. And yeah, it was so fast. Even though the woman just was like, what just happened?
Likely story.
So, and also too, I've read a lot recently about iPhone thefts. If they can get into that phone before the password thing comes out, they could change the password and immediately drain that woman's accounts of everything. There's nothing that the police can do.
Oh my God.
So that's a tricky thing.
Really...
Did you happen to catch, Stu, what they were doing with the phone? Because otherwise, if you have a locked iPhone, you can't. What's the point of stealing that?
Okay, but counterpoint, a lot of my banking app right now is a facial recognition situation.
Same.
So,
Ooh,
right.
That's a great point.
So it'd have to be somebody who robs me and looks like me. What are the odds of that?
I saw on the local news, it said, watch out for people who are looking at you when you open your phone. They're trying to see your code. So once they get into that phone, though, it's dangerous. They can change the facial recognition. If they get in there and change the password where they have control, I think they can bypass that, Mag.
But even the phone is facial recognition if you have that set up.
Oh, you guys don't have but sometimes facial recognition doesn't work, so you have to have a backup code. Does anyone have just facial recognition?
No, I have a code too, and it's actually kind of sad that sometimes when I'm not wearing any makeup and when I've just woken up in the very early morning, my phone doesn't recognize my face and it won't open.
Well, that was a problem when we had to wear masks every day.
The mask.
Because then you needed the code because it never recognized your face with the mask.
No, but if you want a real confidence booster early in the morning, wait till your phone doesn't recognize your unkempt face. It's like, we need the prettier version. It's like, well, she's not going to be here for a while, so here comes the passcode. Anyway, that's a little what's going on with me. So, Saquon Barkley. Perloff, the deadline is Monday. Monday. This is when Saquon Barkley has to either sign off on the franchise tag, $10 million-ish, or actually come to an agreement with the New York Giants on some kind of contract extension. So now the pedal to the metal is here. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk had reported it was about $13 million a year offer they gave him for 2 seasons. Barkley responded to that on Twitter saying it's not true. Now, here's the crazy thing about the Giants, and this is where the moment that I think is going to live in infamy here. Let's not forget, the Giants wanted to use the franchise tag on Daniel Jones and get a deal done with Barkley. They couldn't make it happen, so in the 11th hour, they gave the contract extension to Jones and gave the franchise tag to Barkley.
Wait, is that... I'd never heard that report.
That was the initial thinking by those in the know, is that they would have rather given the franchise tag to Jones and instead ended up giving it to Barkley because they couldn't get a deal done. And Jones milked that to the tune of like $90 million guaranteed. That could end up becoming one of the worst what-ifs ever if Daniel Jones is bad.
Okay. What would the franchise tag have been for Jones? 40 or 35? Or,
not 33. The first year. The first year for quarterbacks is not that high.
So they're paying 40, and it would have been 33 for 1 year.
No, but the 90 guaranteed for Jones.
Right. So they're paying for 2 years, basically.
Essentially.
Yeah, I think is it 90 or 82 guaranteed?
Sorry.
Regardless, so they're going to, I think Daniel Jones will be okay because they can get out of it. All you want in any big contract these days in any sport is the ability to get out of said contract. Forget the player. Expiring contracts. That's where it's at.
We had to get out of the show. Thank you so much to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Intern Brooke is here. Thank you to Mychal Thompson, who joined us. Stephen Cannella, the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated, who joined us. And all the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers. We'll see you tomorrow. Yep.
You're in a 5-minute break.